fans are outside tailgating, getting ready to watch the hottest man in baseball, Barry Bonds. It's the Battle of the Bay, next on FX.
Oakland, California.
If you get the nerve and you might want to try, you can't hang, you're getting mud in your eyes, so don't even flirt, or you might get hurt and you'll wind up looking like dirt.
I know you're gonna dig this.
You can't cope with the Oakland stroke.
The Bay Area, San Francisco and Oakland, where fans come to Network Associates Coliseum to watch this interleague rivalry. The king of the Bay Area is here, Barry Bonds. And the MVP of the American League, Jason Giambi. And the MVP of the National, Jeff Kent. It's game 2 of this 3-game series between the San Francisco Giants and the Oakland Athletics. Hi, everybody. Steve Physioc along with Rex Hudler. Oakland took game 1 of this 3-game series last night, 4-2, the final score for San Francisco. So, Rex, what are your stories tonight?
Oh, it's pilot to bombardier. Open up those Bombay doors, because Barry Bonds is in town, and he can go bombs away, as he's shown. Now, he's pushing Mark McGwire. He's pushing all of baseball. He's on pace for 85 home runs this season, and, man, he is picking the right time here in Oakland to go off and throw them bombs. And it's Giambi Jack. He can jack home runs, but he can also knock them in. As last year, the MVP of the AL knocked in 137. What a matchup between these two sluggers. And it all started in the Bay Area World Series back in 1989, and that's where the rivalry became so vicious.
And then, of course, interleague baseball began in 1997, and you can't get much closer. They played 21 games. Oakland has won 11, San Francisco 10. Well, we will see the battle of the stars, and of course, you have Giambi, you have Bonds, you have the Oakland Athletics, and the San Francisco Giants next on FX. FX Baseball Saturday Night is brought to you by Toyota. More choices, better selection. Experience Toyota today. By Charbroil, keepers of the flame. By Dremel, tools for the imagination. And by Lothraman AM, the #1 recommendation of doctors. You are looking at Network Associates Coliseum in Oakland, California. San Francisco at 30-31, 4th in the National League West against the Oakland Athletics. They are 29-30. 3rd in the American League West, 18 games behind the Seattle Mariners. Well, let's check out the Nissan San Francisco starting lineups. Calvin Murray will lead things off and play center field. Batting second is Rich Aurelia, and then Barry Bonds. They get to DH him because they're in an American League ballpark, and what a year he has already had, on pace to shatter the all-time Major League home run record by 15. Jeff Kent will bat 4th. Then Benito Santiago, Felipe Crespo, Armando Rios, Russ Davis, and Marvin Bernard. And how about the scouting report for tonight's starting pitcher, Corey Lytle, who was only 5'11", 180, Rex, but very, very gifted with his control.
He's got 4 pitches, Steve, he likes to use. He's not overpowering, though. He's got to be able to hit his spots with the fastball, slider, curveball, and a split finger, but he's got to keep the ball down to have success against the slugging Giants.
That is your Sears scouting report, and his record is 1-4 with a 4.88 earned run average, but he has excellent command. He has walked 20 this year in 59 innings. So Corey Lytle, who played his high school baseball at South Hills in West Covina, California with his first baseman Jason Giambi. They're together again this year after Lytle pitched for the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. And the first pitch is thrown to Calvin Murray, strike one. Murray recalled from the minor leagues Fresno Grizzlies on June 1st. He has a home run this year. Murray taps it down the first base side, but foul. Now he's behind the count, 0-2.
Well, Calvin Murray has been able to fill in center field, and he's doing a nice job on defensively, but he's a leadoff guy, and being young in the business like he is in the major leagues, he's just kind of getting an idea about his offensive capabilities, and he's learning how to hit, as Dusty Baker told me.
Well, San Francisco trying to find their magic that they had in the year 2000 when they won the National League West. They had a record of 97-65, and they won the West by 11 games over the Dodgers. They would lose to the Mets in the first round of the playoffs, 3 victories to 1. But Dusty Baker, he was saying, hey, we were at the same position, same time last year. And that ball gets away. I mean, last year at this time, Rex, they were a game under 500, 6.5 games behind Arizona, and then they would lose 2, and they'd be 7.5 back. Look where they are right now. They are 7 games behind first place Arizona.
Well, Dusty Baker, he's an excellent manager, but he knows you got to have the horses.
Miguel Tejada. They just do get Calvin Murray at first base. Defensively for the Oakland Athletics, much improved Jason Giambi at first base. Second base, Frank Menechino. Jose Ortiz started the year there. Eric Chavez at third. Tejada is an outstanding shortstop. Johnny Damon in left field. Terrence Long, center field. Eric Burns will be in right field. And Ramon Hernandez will catch Corey Lytle. That is your Nissan around the horn Oakland defense. Now Rich Aurelia, who leads the National League in batting this year, and he shows bunt, pulls it back. Rich at 365. What has gotten into him?
Well, he's aggressive. He's been swinging the bat, and that's how you do it when you have 81 hits and lead the National League. But he did a nice thing there, Steve. I like to see him fake that bunt that pulls the third baseman and first baseman in.
And he has that third baseman Chavez right on the edge of the infield grass.
What that does as an offensive player, it opens up the lines. You can hit a lot of balls past him. He has better range, the fielder does, if he's playing deep.
Well, the game time start here on the West Coast, 6 o'clock. And because of that, Rex, you can see the shadows creeping towards home plate, which will give the advantage to Corey Lytle and Sean Estes, who will pitch tonight.
Certainly will. As soon as that shadows start creeping past home plate here, as soon as the shadow gets out here, it affects the hitter. You can see that beautiful overhead shot, but as that shadow gets in, it's tough on the right fielder out here because that sun is right here directly in his eyes.
And there's a shot to left field and deep, and racing back at the warning track near that 367 power alley. Johnny Damon pulls it down, and that will take us to 3-time most valuable player Barry Bonds. He already has shot past that 500 home run mark earlier this year, and he is having a dramatic season. And this is 36th year on the planet. He'll turn 37 on June 24th. He already has 32 home runs this year. He has gone past Babe Ruth's pace. He has gone past Mark McGwire's pace.
Bonds is so good at late in his career now at recognizing his pitch. And that's the reason he's having so much production this year, is that it's called maturity, but you don't have a thing unless you got that swing.
Lytle takes care of Barry Bonds, and very quickly the San Francisco Giants done in the first inning. We are scoreless with that Oakland lineup when we come back. Steve Physioc, Rex Hudler with you at Network Associates Coliseum in Oakland, California. Bottom of the first inning. Let's check out the Nissan Oakland Athletics starting lineup. They come in with that record, 29 wins, 30 losses. Johnny Damon will lead things off, will be followed by Frank Menechino and then Jason Giambi. Almost on base 50% of the time this year. Miguel Tejada will bat fourth, then Terrence Long, Ramon Hernandez, Eric Chavez, Jeremy Giambi just came off the disabled list. Jason's brother and is the designated hitter. And then Eric Burns, the right fielder. And Rex, how about your scouting report on the San Francisco pitcher, Sean Estes?
Yes, Steve, he's a left-hander, and he's their #1 starter. They count on him. He's got to have the good control. He's got a big arc to his curveball. He's got to be able to locate that, though, because he has trouble. It's so big, he has a hard time commanding it. But fastball's big. He keeps his sinker down and uses his infielders. He'll be on top of his game. The ERA, though, is sweet. At 2.45, he's dealing.
And it has even been better of late. A 1.6 earned run average in his last 9 efforts. 26 walks and 66 innings. And he faces Johnny Damon, who really has had a miserable beginning for the Oakland Athletics after an all-star campaign 1 year ago where he hit .327 for Kansas City, but he's down 112 points, and he slashes that one into left field for a base hit. Now let's go around the horn for San Francisco again. No J.T. Snow at first base, who is the best defender in the game. Felipe Crespo will be there. Jeff Kent at second base. The third baseman is Russ Davis. Shortstop Rich Aurelio. Left field Armando Rios. Calvin Murray can fly in center field. Marvin Bernard in right. And Benito Santiago will catch Sean Estes. Estes brings it home and finds the strike zone to Frank Menechino. Menechino has been quite a surprise this year. 30 years old from Staten Island, never has been an everyday player until this year. Jose Ortiz started the season as their opening day second baseman, but struggled, sent down, and Menechino has really just not given up that spot.
No. He's been stirring the Oakland A's this year with his sparkling play. He's got good hands on defense, but he's gone deep 8 times. The little guy's like 5'8", but he's got some pop. And they put him in that right up to the top of that order and hitting second to help keep things going. But Sean Estes has got 4 good pitches: fastball, curveball, changeup, and an occasional slider. But he's a 2-seam fastballer and a 4-seam fastballer, which kind of keeps the hitters guessing.
Menechino takes inside, and you told me when you faced him, a right-hander is a tough time with his 2-seam fastball.
That's right. Sean Estes has a nice live 2-seam fastball, and facing him as a right-handed batter, he likes to come inside. He's going to jam you most of the time, and then he'll go soft away. But he's very tough on right-handed batters, and he also has an excellent move to first base, so he's keeping Johnny Damon guessing over there. And the fact that Johnny Damon has to look into the sun has some kind of distraction for the base runner here this time of night.
He led the American League in stolen bases last year with 46, but it's also a challenge for a very young first baseman, Felipe Crespo. It's not like J.T. Snow is over there to dig out those pickoff throws.
No, but Felipe, that's one of his natural positions, and he feels comfortable there.
Menechino smashes it in the gap. Racing for third, Johnny Damon, and now they'll send him home. The throw to the plate is not in time. Oakland takes a 1-0 lead.
What comes along with hitting in that second spot with a fast runner on first is you're going to get plenty of fastballs to hit. And Frank Menechino is one of the reasons he's excelling in that second spot, is he loves the fastball. And he gets one here, and Estes left it out over the plate, didn't come inside. And Menechino says, I will bust you in the gap. Look at this swing, short and sweet. He goes right where no one's playing. Nice placement, enough for the speedy Johnny Damon to come bring the mail home.
Again, Oakland won last night's game 4-2. A's trying to get back to 500. They're 100 at 29-30, and here is the American League's very best. The MVP from 1 year ago, Jason Giambi, when he hit 43 home runs and drove in 137, on same pace again, 16-50 with a high average. They want a souvenir.
6 homers in the last 9 games. I'd say he's hot. He knows that spot where he can hit him. And that's what comes with time in baseball, Steve. In baseball, it takes time to develop, and especially a hitter. He's got to know which pitches he can handle and which ones he can't. And in the meantime, till he finds out, that pitcher's going to win most of the battles.
He rips that one, and look at Crespo, a beautiful play. That will get Menachino to third, but Giambi thought he had an RBI.
That's good fundamental ball with nobody out. Giambi knew he had to pull the ball to get the base runner Menachino to third base. Set up an easy RBI. Here it is. He knew he had to pull it the whole way. Look at that nice play by Crespo. I mean, I was wanting to say, is that JT? But it's not JT Snow.
There's JT Snow on the bench. He says he'll likely be ready on Monday, but he has that upper rib problem near his collarbone, where he crashed into a catcher a couple of weeks back and placed in the disabled list. Now Miguel Tejada hitting one to short. This gets Menachino in, and Oakland just playing textbook baseball. They take a 2-0 lead.
So you credit Giambi with that RBI. You don't officially, but as you're a teammate of his, you say, that's your run, Jason. Way to get the runner over. And that's called fundamental baseball. Frank Menachino getting some love from his teammates in there as he split the gap early.
So Oakland jumps on Sean Estes early, and Estes has just been dominating opponents recently with a record of 5-1, and as we said, a 1.6 ERA. Starting poorly against the Oakland Athletics, down quickly 2-0. And now he faces Terrence Long, who has had a great year against left-handers. Thank goodness for left-handers, or his batting average might be near 250. Long hits it high in the air. Calvin Murray. Murray makes the catch. Inning is over. Oakland scores 2. Jeff Kent is the batter. We'll see the National League MVP from 1 year ago when we come back. Oakland has the early lead, and now they will face the National League MVP from the year 2000, Jeff Kent, 33-year-old from Huntington Beach, California. He was the 8th second baseman to be named MVP last year, hitting .334 with 33 home runs and knocking in 125 runs. And a huge reason the Giants won the National League West by 11 games over Los Angeles. Now Kent to start things, hitting just .276 this year with 8 home runs. He still has knocked in 43, a high total there, and he's just beginning to get his streak together, as you can see by a 12-gamer recently.
Well, I know a lot of players like to have those numbers right now. Some of them could call it a half a season or even a season with those. But Kent, he's struggled a little bit because here's a guy that likes to work hard, went home in the offseason after this MVP year, and wants to get better. So he tinkered a little bit with his mechanics, and that's one of the reasons he kind of got off to a slow start this year.
I mean, look at that, 475 driven in the last 4 seasons, the most ever over a 4-year period by a second baseman. The guy he passed was Rogers Hornsby, who drove in 472. In 4 years, 475 RBIs. I mean, the first Giant since Willie Mays to lead 4 straight years.
It's impressive, especially for a second base.
And a former 20th round pick of the Toronto Blue Jays from nearby Cal Berkeley. I mean, why would a guy like this go so late in the draft?
It's hard to figure. There's a lot of people wonder why the Yankees took me 18th pick in the country back in '78.
All of them were thinking that. Even before Cal Ripken Jr., but a great pitch by Corey Lytle, and he gets his first strikeout of the night.
Talk about Lytle and his command. Here's a nice teasing curveball. Now you see it, now you don't, and that's the effect a curveball gives the hitter. The hitter sees the ball first right here. He sees it here, and then it breaks off of there. But look at that nice little curveball action. Ken will have to take a seat. That's a good pitch. Sometimes you give the pitcher credit, sometimes you don't as a hitter.
Pitch track from Quest Tech. Here's Corey Lytle. Again, not a big guy at 5'11", 180. Won 4 games with Tampa Bay last year, but really shown fine control this year and great command of all of his pitches. This one has popped up from Frank Menachino, and Lytle retires the first 5 Giants that he faces. The sun really has been tough on anybody who plays that right side.
I mentioned it once before, and it plays an element in the game. Look at Frankie Menachino. He's got everything up there but the kitchen sink. He just blocked that sun. Look at, he's got his whole arm up there. And heck, I mean, But I credit him. Look at that sun up there, just blasting down. Frankie didn't have any sunglasses on.
New York. He doesn't need sunglasses.
Well, I played for a manager from New York one time. His name was Billy Martin, and I remember a rookie went out there, just like Burns is a rookie. He went out there, didn't have his glasses on, and he dropped a ball, and Billy Martin just let him have it. He said, take the glasses out there. Whether you use them or not, you got to have them. Then if you drop the ball, at least you can say I had it. But if you don't have glasses and you drop the ball, then you're in big trouble. Giambi's got him on. T. Long doesn't. Terrence got him on up underneath there.
Yep. Now Felipe Crespo, and Lytle tries to work him up and away. It is 2 balls and 1 strike. Oakland scoring 2 runs in the first inning. Faced by Johnny Damon's single and Frank Menachino's double. Menachino would later score on a ground out. That ball wrapped towards the first baseman Giambi. He'll give it to Lytle, and Corey has been Mr. Efficiency in the first 2 innings. 6 up, 6 down, 2-0 Oakland.
What is
this live view is courtesy of the Budweiser.com airship, seen by millions on its ongoing goodwill tour. Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. And the photographer and the pilot get to enjoy this view of this interleague series game between the San Francisco Giants and the Oakland Athletics. They have met 22 times in the past. If San Francisco wins this game, they will even the series at 11 wins each. And here is Ramon Hernandez to lead things off against Sean Estes. Estes threw strikes, Rex, in the first inning. 8 of his 12 pitches were strikes, but they were catching the middle of the zone to the first 2 batters, Johnny Damon and Frank Menachino, and they knocked him for hits and eventually would score.
You can throw as hard as you want in Major League Baseball, but the location is the most important thing. Where you put the ball. I mean, hitters are trained to hit the mistakes, and that plate is only 17 inches wide, and that pitcher, he's going to make some mistakes. A guy's got to be on top of the plate, be aggressive and ready to hit those mistakes. But if you've got a pitcher that's hitting his spots, you can phone in your at-bats, because the pitcher usually dominates when he's like that.
Estes has lately, and now faces Hernandez, who has good power. And Ramon knocks it back up the middle. There's Jeff Kent. His throw from his knees, and got him.
Well, that's been Hernandez's problem, is his hitting balls right at people. He's been hitting them hard, but with no luck, especially with Jeff Kent there. Not only can he hit them in, he can field them. Look at that. Nice, great play there as he's able to get to his feet and get him by a step. Now get your feet, or get you a knee, and throw him out. Look at that. Got him by a full step.
Kent with the defense. Now lefty versus lefty. Estes against Eric Chavez, and Eric takes outside. Eric Chavez, I really think, is going to be one of the best young third basemen in the American League. Troy Gloss certainly is the elite, but Chavez, just 23 years old, terrific power. Poway, California, down near San Diego, a first-round pick by the A's out of high school in 1996. There's that power curve to Eric.
Oh, that's what a player will call a hammer. I mean, that thing just dropped out of the sky. We'll even see a replay of it. And look at Chavez, just goes, I think I'll take that. But Estes has got that equalizer against left-handed batters. It's a harder pitch to hit for a left-handed batter because the ball's breaking away or down, compared to a right-handed batter where it's coming into him.
They want to work away, and there's the fastball on the outside corner for strike 3.
And Estes will go ahead and try that corner. He likes that corner for his out pitch. Here it is, a fastball away. Look at the leg kick back. There's a nice little leg kick. Watch the drop. Watch the drop by the baseball. Had a nice little action to it. Right on the corner of the black. You've got to go. Sean Estes is just dealing.
2 quick outs here in the bottom of the second inning. You see what Maddox has done this year for Atlanta, and he has had around a 500 campaign because of lack of run support. Estes at 2.45. Those are your Toyota leaders. Now in the number 8 position, Jeremy Giambi, who was out with a left hamstring problem, activated today.
Missed about 3 weeks, and talking to him before the game, he says, man, I missed it. All the action going on. I'm so happy I'm back in there, especially for this Freeway Series here, or actually the Bay Area Series. Big crowd.
There's that high fastball at 92 miles an hour that's tough to lay off of.
Looks good, but the best you can do sometimes is just get a piece of it and foul it back. But Jeremy has missed 3 weeks, so his timing might be off with him.
You know what? It's going to be tough for a left-hander to hit this guy if he can locate his fastball and then drop that hammer, as you talked about. Jason and Jeremy together for the first time in pro ball this season. Jeremy coming over from the Kansas City Royals. Look at that wicked curveball, and Estes, after being roughed up in the first inning, beautiful in the second with help from his second baseman Jeff Kent, who robbed Ramon Hernandez with this diving play up the middle. It's 2-0 A's. Oakland has the early lead on San Francisco, and this Tuesday it's an all out of this world son of the beach when Jamaica boldly goes where no lifeguard has gone before. An all new son of the beach Tuesday night at 10 on FX, and as Johnny Carson would say, funny stuff. It is. Look at those guys. They're enjoying this ball game. We expect a crowd of 40,000 on hand for this Bay Area rivalry. That is Oakland and San Francisco. A couple of A's fans. Sometimes you'll see an A's hat split and an SF is put on the other side. The fan just doesn't know who to root for. They're a Bay Area fan.
They know how to eat.
It looked like a Philly cheese steak. Philadelphia playing Boston this weekend. Corey Lytle has been perfect through 2 innings. Now he will face Armando Rios, Russ Davis, and Marvin Bernard. Fastball catches the outside corner. Well, there's the hat. Although he used to be a Giants fan, that's why I bought the cap, and then he said, not anymore. When they moved from beautiful Candlestick Park to that ugly old Pac Bell facility, nope, he became an A's fan. Actually, it works in reverse because Candlestick was probably the second worst in the major leagues to Montreal's Olympic Stadium. Pac Bell is a masterpiece.
Well, I got to play in those other stadiums, and I didn't have a problem with freezing in the middle of summertime at Candlestick.
There's a fastball in the inside corner.
I remember before they changed the dugouts around in old Candlestick, I'm playing for the Cardinals. It used to be cold. They had no heaters in there, and my feet were frozen solid, and I was praying that Whitey Herzog would not put me in the game. Please, Whitey, don't pitch run me here. My legs are numb.
And he pinch hit you, and you fouled one off your foot. Ow, 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 ow. Rios reaches for one and fouls it off the right side. Now the count, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Armando played in the College World Series for LSU, and LSU with Skip Bertman was knocked out. Skip's last year won 2 titles at LSU.
Awesome. I wonder if did they give him a ring for winning the College World Series?
Absolutely. 91-93. Armando is part of that College World Series championship. Oh, a hammer on the inside corner. We're seeing some pretty good curveballs by Estes and Lytle.
It just locked him up, and you've seen a couple called thirds, and that's what they call that. It just locks you up as a hitter. You got the middle leg kick, you're all ready, but now you see it, now you don't. And lots of times when a guy takes a called third strike, he has to walk off. They'll call it a soldier boy as you go off 1-2, 1-2. Look at the hammer. There it is. They call it a hammer. It's got a nice little break to it, and they try to keep it out of the hitting zone.
Now Lytle against number 8 hitter Russ Davis. For Seattle Mariner, played for Lou Piniella. Before that with the New York Yankees organization. Very good power.
His quick hands at third base. He's made some improvements. He made a lot of errors for the Seattle Mariners. Came over and last year waited his turn, but he had some injuries last year. This year it's been tough for Russ Davis. He's had some family problems. He had some tragic accidents that happened all in 1 month. And so he's been dealing with the emotional side off the field. And that will sometimes, hurt you as a player between the lines. Focus and concentration isn't always there.
Rush now 31 from Hueytown, Alabama.
He's got some power.
Boy, Lytle's location with his sinking fastball has just been outstanding.
He's keeping the ball down out of the hitter's zone, and that's so important.
He's coming off perhaps his best game of the year in his last start, beating Baltimore 5-1. Gave up 1 run in 7 innings, didn't walk a man, and struck out 5. And again, he goes for the outside corner and backs off a couple miles an hour and strikes out Russ Davis. 3 strikeouts in 2 2/3 for Corey.
Well, Lytle is cruising here through the first time through the order, and this is this nasty split finger pitch. That's a pitch that looks like a fastball to the hitter, but right at the end it drops down and falls out of sight to the hitter. Difference between a fork ball and a split finger is the fork ball tumbles and a hitter can see that rotation. The split finger, if you have a decent fastball, it makes your fastball look even better because the split finger looks like a fastball to the hitter and it breaks right down at the end.
San Francisco has a great one of those with Rob Nen. Fastball catches the outside corner now to Marvin Bernard, and he has had a rough season, hitting 198, and he was the guy who was a little bit of the heir to Ellis Burks, and that has been part of the San Francisco problem. I mean, San Francisco has left more men on base this year than any other team in the National League. And what did Burks do? He was Mr. Clutch last season, and Dusty Baker is missing Ellis, who's now with the Cleveland Indians. 7.5 per game. There's a chopper. Get to first baseman Giambi. Lytle will cover. Corey has faced 9 Giants. He's retired all 9. When we come back, Johnny Damon will be coming to the plate as Oakland leads San Francisco 2-0. FX Baseball Saturday night is brought to you by Acura and by Sears Tire and Auto Centers. Beautiful day here in the East Bay of Northern California. We are at Network Associates Coliseum in Oakland, where the A's leading San Francisco 2-0. Sean Estes, who has been one of the hottest pitchers in the major leagues the last 2 months, is on the mound for the Giants. And he is facing Eric Burns, 25-year-old right-handed hitting outfielder, Redwood City, California. Played at UCLA with a rather talented cast. On that team was Eric Valent, who's now with the Philadelphia Phillies, and his roommate's not a bad ball player, Troy Gloss of the Anaheim Angels, who led the American League in home runs last year with 47. And Eric Burns really has a great friendship with Troy.
He's got a future in big league baseball. Eric Burns does. He's really got a nice combination of power and speed. He's looking to get on track here in the major league level. Sometimes it takes a year or two, but with Johnny Damon becoming a free agent and the Oakland A's likely not to re-sign him, he might be the future.
Odd shot to the third baseman Russ Davis, and Burns is the first out at the bottom of the 3rd inning. Now coming up, Johnny Damon. Johnny has had a tough start. We talked about that earlier. Rex, do you know why? He is in the last year of his contract, but a guy with his ability to slip 100 points in his batting average, and he's been healthy.
I talked to him, and he told me that he feels as good as he felt last year. It's just one of those things a player goes through sometimes, as he's hitting a lot of atom balls, which is balls hit right at people, doesn't have anything to show for it, and he's just been in a little mental slump as well as a physical slump. And when you're facing major league pitching and pitches like that from Sean Estes, that's awesome.
Look at that, 136 runs, 214 hits, second most to the Angels' Darren Erstad last year with 240.
Not to mention the 46 bags.
And that went through the legs of Russ Davis.
But he's got a slash and dash type of style, and this is what the Oakland A's were expecting. Billy Beane and Art House of him to come over here and do this type of thing. put pressure on defense. Look at that short, quick swing. He uses his hands, and Russ Davis couldn't handle it because it hit the lip of the grass, and that's just an error as it goes between the wickets. That sometimes happens.
9th error for Russ Davis this year. Dusty Baker's defense not defending nearly as well as they did one season ago. They have made 44 errors now. That is 10th most in the National League. There is a ground ball hit to Davis. They've got a chance for 2, and they will get the double play. So Davis picks himself up, and his pitcher, Sean Estes. We will head to the bottom of the fourth inning here. San Francisco trailing Oakland 2-0. Barry Bonds. Bonds clubbed a game-winning 2-run home run off the Dodgers' Terry Adams in the 8th inning at Pac Bell on April 17th to become the 17th member of the exclusive 500 home run club. The 4th Giant, the others Willie Mays, Willie McCovey, and Mel Ott. And those are the lefties. He is 3rd of all the lefties behind Ruth and Jackson, just passing Ted Williams and Willie McCovey.
Those are some big-time numbers. Bonds, McGuire, Sosa, whenever these big sluggers keep turning out the home runs, the people are going to come watch. It's good for the game of baseball.
About the year he's had, just 1 month before he turns 37. I thought we were supposed to lose our bat speed and our foot speed at this age.
Not Mr. Bonds. He's just accelerating tonight. One of the reasons I told you why. He's mature. He knows which pitches he can handle. And this year, he's just busted.
Well, here in the 4th inning, it is Calvin Murray facing Corey Lytle. Lytle has been the dominant player in this game with 3 perfect innings. Got Murray his first time on a ground ball to short. Calvin takes it low, 3-1.
Lytle's ball is moving. He's using that 2-seam fastball. Whenever you use a 2-seam fastball, the ball seems to have a little tail or a little sink to it. The 4-seamer is the one a pitcher uses upstairs to get the strikeout.
Well, he comes right down Broadway to Murray, and that will run the count full 3-2. He came into the inning throwing 34 pitches, 22 in the strike zone, and did not have a 3-1 count. Murray swings, pulls a foul.
Excellent ball-to-strike ratio. You want your pitcher to go out there and throw strikes, especially if you're a defensive player. There's nothing worse than a pitcher that gets out there and holds the ball, walks around the mound, and you're a defensive player going, come on, throw the ball. You go to sleep. But if you have a pitcher like Lytle, it's in the game, you keep him on the toes, and that's important.
In there, strike 3.
But if he keeps throwing darts like that, heck, his fielders don't even need to be out there. He's worked that 2-seamer again. Moved so much. Murray didn't even swing. He didn't have a chance. Look at that. Ramon Hernandez tried to help it a little with the glove back there, but didn't need to. So home plate umpire Bill Miller saw the strike.
Now Murray will watch as the National League leading hitter Rich Aurelia comes to the plate, and there's the bender for a strike. Right now, Lytle has command of all 4 of his pitches.
This is what you're seeing. That's why it's been 1, 2, 3 through the first time through the Giant order. When a pitcher has his best stuff, you can phone your at-bats in. It's going to be tough to hit. With that shadow, you throw the shadow in now. Now, just because the shadow is not on the pitcher, it's not on the pitcher or the hitter. You look at this background here. This background can cause some glare for the hitter. The ball sometimes looks dark with that bright background.
So that's where they get the statement, throw him the dark one.
That's right. And talking to Hall of Famers like Red Shanedes, who used to bat at Wrigley Field, saying there was no hidden background there. It was all people back there with white T-shirts on.
Good pitch by Lytle. Swing and a miss by Aurelia, and the count is Corey's way 1-2.
We'll check out Lytle. Here's what he starts. Most pitchers that have a split finger will start with a changeup or a split finger grip and then change it. You can see he's got the changeup grip there. Whenever he has the ball circled with his hand, it's either a changeup or a split finger. There's a split finger grip now he has in that glove.
And he throws it right by Rich Aurelia. That is 5 strikeouts by Corey Lytle already in this game.
Well, we saw the split. There's the grip. Look at that split finger. Now the hitter doesn't know, but with 2 strikes, he has an idea, especially when you're on like that. Perfect pitch. If Rich takes that, he's out called. Perfect location.
And look who is coming to the plate. Bonds. Barry Bonds. Retake. Low ball 1. This is home runs by hot zone.
Check those out. Those are real important. And this pitch is the one especially making is that one inside. It's the ones he didn't hit last year. Last season he left these pitches alone, but because pitchers are trying to throw him in there, he's not missing them. That's how you pitch Barry Bonds. You have to bust him in with fastballs, but his eyes will tell him which pitch is the one to hit. And that's what's called plate discipline, knowing your pitch.
He has received pitch lately. After hitting home run number 500, he's clubbed 26 more homers to move into 11th place on the all-time list. Right now he's chasing Double X Jimmy Fox, 534. Outside corner. Bonds does not like the call by home plate umpire Bill Miller.
Yeah, but this changeup really tricked Bonds. It wasn't a split finger, it's just a nice little change. You can see it went away. The split finger has more of a downward break. That one went away, and it caught the corner. So Ramon Hernandez did a nice job selling that with his way to catch that ball there.
Lytle jammed him. Bonds stares out at Corey, but I think Lytle's kind of in a zone right now.
He is unconscious. I didn't know he could get that ball consistently in the low 90s. But he's really pumped up tonight, and he's pitching Bonds perfect right here. 3-2. He shouldn't give him a fastball at all. He should, the way his stuff is, and as good as it is, he can throw any pitch at any time. He might as well go with a split finger.
But his sinker has been so good as well.
There's a split. When you're a pitcher like that, you got all your pitches working for you. You go with either one of them, and that keeps the hitter guessing. Compared to a pitcher who can only get his fastball over, he uses that. And this man, Barry Bonds, capitalizes on fastballs, especially in his zone.
Count is full, 3-2.
You got the sign coming to you right here, fastball away.
Keep it down. It is down, and that is the first base runner in the ball game for San Francisco. Bonds works the 2-out walk, and that will bring the tying run to the plate in Jeff Kent. He leads the major leagues in walks this year. He's done a remarkable job with 56, and Giambi right behind of Oakland. Those are 2 of the most dangerous hitters in the majors.
11 times Mr. Bonds has been walked intentionally. I mean, for not even halfway through the season, that's a lot.
Those guys are actually pretty good friends off the field. Giambi said he really admires and respects the way Barry plays and watches him whenever he can on TV.
But Giambi was tutored by one of the best, Mark McGwire. Mark helped break Giambi in when Jason was just a rookie.
Now Jeff Kent. Again, the National League Most Valuable Player from a year ago. A big reason San Francisco had success last year was Kent made opponents pay for the mistake of walking Bonds.
You can see that sun, Steve. Look at Bonds. It's right in his eyes. Of course, he tries to duck low so he doesn't have to just look through that sun.
Barry does not go, and Kent takes strike 1. I mean, he's getting close to 500 in stolen bases. He would be the first to do that. Willie Mays had 338.
500.
Look at his father right there.
500. That's just amazing.
Dad Bobby with 332 in the power department, 461 in the speed. It really is unbelievably dramatic, and Barry plays the game as if it's easy, a lot like Ken Griffey Jr.
But it's not that easy. It's players like them that make everybody else believe they can play it. But Lytle has got all of his pitches working his way now.
Kent with a hard hit smash to Frank Benichino. He will throw out Jeff, and that will do it in the fourth. Corey Lytle still keeps his no-hitter intact as we head to the bottom of the fourth. Giambi, Tejada, and Long are coming up. This is interleague meeting number 22 between San Francisco and Oakland. We asked Jason Giambi about this Bay Area rivalry.
Oh, it's big. You know, we have such a good time because we play against them so many times in spring training. You know them all because you see them across the bay, watch all the games. But the fans really get into it, and that's the exciting thing. You know, anytime you can bring 50,000 people out to watch a sporting event, it's unbelievable.
So we have a guy who is voting yes, he likes interleague baseball. Jason Giambi.
Better believe it when he talks about crowds. He's talking about tonight's crowd.
40,000 expected for this ball game. No official total yet, but here is Giambi going against an outstanding lefty, Sean Estes, who after allowing 2 base hits to the first 2 batters, Damon and Menachino, both would eventually score. He has really shut down the A's. And Giambi hits one to first base. And there is the first out. Well, did you read what Art House said about interleague baseball? He said we should play the rivals, Oakland, San Francisco, the Dodgers and Angels, the Mets, the Yankees, Cubs, White Sox, but not all the divisions. He said it's an unfair advantage to the National League because the pitchers hit. And Rex, I'm sorry, I disagree. I mean, look at the great crowd here, but even for the rivalries, I checked the attendance figures today of games like the Seattle Mariners at San Diego. That's not a rivalry. They had 45,000 last night. Houston at Texas, 47,000. Cincinnati at Cleveland, sold out. Philadelphia at Boston, sold out. Pittsburgh at Minnesota, 30,000. Montreal at Baltimore, 40,000. Interleague baseball is still a fan favorite.
Well, and it started in '97, and that was the idea of Major League Baseball, to spice up the game for the fans. And it's good to see that they're turning out the turnstiles, but it doesn't always agree with the managers on each team. It's the American League. You don't use your bench. You have a DH. So therefore, you have 12 pitchers. You can add another pitcher, have another arm. Dusty Baker'd love to have another arm, but no, he has to have another bench player because he has to pinch hit for pitchers that hit in the National League. So each manager has their own gripes about it, but the bottom line is what's good for the game of baseball, and I think that Bud Selig has that in mind.
Interleague baseball has been popular. Here's a breaking ball thrown to Miguel Tejada, and he takes it outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Estes has really pitched very well. Again, his ball strike ratio has been outstanding, almost 70% strikes, 30% out of the zone.
Really, Estes made one mistake, and that was the double to Menachino. Left it right out over the plate.
Where there is the strikeout of Miguel Tejada, and that is the 3rd strikeout. This week on FX, it's a special Friday night baseball featuring a rematch of last year's Subway Series as Derek Jeter and the Yankees head to Shea Stadium to take on Mike Piazza and the Mets. Coverage begins this Friday night at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 Pacific on FX. Check local listings for the start times in your area.
Wow, we're reliving the World Series, and that matchup should be exciting. What a shame Roger Clemens didn't grab a bat and hit in the National League Park, Shea Stadium.
Now Terrence Long.
Terrence Long has the skills it takes to be a star player in this league. They had him lead off last year, but his swing is a little bit too long, excuse the pun. He has a long swing. Therefore, he's got more of a power stroke. The guy in a leadoff position, he wants to shorten up his swing and put the ball in play. He's got a 33 on-base percentage right now, which is good, but if you shorten up that swing, you become a valuable leadoff guy.
Ground ball into the second baseman, Jeff Kent, and Long is out, and Sean Estes has just been outstanding since giving up the double to Menachino. He has retired 12 straight A's. The most Corey Lytle has ever struck out in a game is 7. He's done that twice. He has 5 through 4 innings, Rex.
What about that one walk to Mr. Bonds?
Came on a 3-2 count, but look at the way his stuff is working.
Wow, Biz, look at that. You look at it. Good curveball. He's hitting his spots. You're doing a curveball, but the split finger's working as well, and the 2-seam fastball. There's a split. Perfect split finger. Lytle's on top of his game, and in the last few innings, so is Sean Estes.
think after that first inning, Oakland went up to Corey and said, hey, you got your 2 runs, go get them. I mean, he has the lowest run support in the American League at 3.2 runs per game. Oakland is giving it. That is an offense that was one of the best in the American League last year.
Yes. Compared to Sean Estes, who last year got 8 runs per game. So some pitchers get the runs and some don't. I remember being a teammate with Chuck Finley with the Anaheim Angels, and we never scored for Chuck. He would hold the other team down and just couldn't get him any runs. It seemed like that, and he still has the same problem in Cleveland now.
Well, that is an offense that will break out for him eventually, because they are outstanding. And right now, Cleveland in first place in the American League Central. That ball will drop into center field, and that's the first base hit of this ball game. It is struck by Benito Santiago.
Well, Benito Santiago is having a great year right now, and especially for Dusty Baker. They needed somebody with some offense, with some veteran leadership to come in there and help that young pitching staff. Here's Lytle again. Perfect except a walk. He's got a no-hitter going. Pretty good pitch on the outside corner, and Benito just laid his hands out there and lobbed a lousy single to center. That's all he really wanted, just get on base.
Bring the tying run up. Will be Felipe Crespo. Crespo's got pretty good power. He had 2 home runs in 1 game against San Diego this past Thursday. Adam Eaton, a pretty good pitcher, was on the hill. There's that sinker that drops out of the strike zone. Ball 1. The magic of 2000 just not there for the Giants yet. Remember, there are 29 games over 500 at brand new Pac Bell last year, and this year they are 5 over. But they are 6 under on the road, 11 and 17 away from Pac Bell after losing last night 4-2 to Oakland.
Felipe has a brother that just got called up in the big leagues with the San Diego Padres. Another brother combination in the majors. Felipe's got a nice compact stroke. He's got 3 home runs this year. He can hit.
They have all the bat boys here, all lined up, as this is the Battle of the Bay Area. And what Dusty Baker does is he invites the players to have their children help out. He likes to have the kids at the yard. And maybe they were a good luck charm last year, because the team won 97 and the West. Santiago goes, pitch is swung on and missed, throw to second base. Benito does not even slide.
Now this is Dusty Baker trying to get something working here, trying to get his Giants kick started here. As Santiago will take off, he'll look back to see what the hitter's doing, and Crespo just didn't make contact, and then Santiago says, "Ooh, I'm a dead duck." He didn't even slide. He was counting on the hitter to put the ball in play.
Is that one reason Dusty Baker has not called that many hit and runs this year?
You better believe it. Dusty Baker is a great manager who likes to use what he has, the talents his player has. And I asked him before the game, Dusty, you don't hit and run a whole lot. He goes, you have to have the certain players that can do it.
Guys who make contact.
Right. You need guys that have short swings and that can put the ball in play. And so far, I haven't seen that this year.
So Crespo strikes out. That is 6 in the game for Corey Lytle. 1 under, tying his career best. Jerry Springer, Paulie Shore, and Daisy Fuentes, just a few of the celebrity guests who have dropped in to take the test. Join host Jillian Barberie, 4 celebrity guests, 10 questions, and 1 revealing half hour. The test, weeknights at 11 on FX. Jerry Springer's really making the rounds. He was on Son of the Beach last week.
Jillian Barberie, I played against her husband. He was a player for the Baltimore Orioles, Brett.
Yep. Pretty good second baseman.
Fine second baseman.
There's John Shulock.
Shulock's at third base. Rocky Rose at first.
Tap to Giambi. That is about as easy a play as any first baseman will have to make. Right at the bag. Corey Lytle has been sharp. year was 1989, the horrible earthquake of San Francisco, but that was also the time of the World Series in the Bay Area between the A's and the Giants. And the earthquake took place right during Game 1. Dennis Eckersley was there for the final out of the World Series as the A's would sweep the Giants in 4 straight, but they were separated. Actually, it was Game 2 as the A's swept the Giants 4 straight. Dave Stewart went 2-0. Mike Moore went 2-0. And the A's hit 9 home runs. But I remember that so well living in this Bay Area. I was getting ready to head to the ballpark when the house shook.
So were a lot of people.
And the Giants still looking to win first World Series since 1954 when they swept the World Series from the Cleveland Indians, who at that time won the most wins in baseball with 111. Here's Sean Estes, and he has really been in charge since giving up back-to-back hits to Johnny Damon and Frank Menachino in the first inning, and he's retired everybody since, all 12. Catches the outside corner to Ramon Hernandez to start the 5th inning. Estes threw 4 innings through 45 pitches, 29 strikes. He has not had a 3-ball count in the game, and that is unlike Sean Estes. Ground ball hit sharply, up by Rich Aurelia, and there's the first out. And I make that statement, Rex, because Sean Estes over the last 4 years has averaged over 100 walks per season.
Well, it's because of that big curveball we just saw him retire Ramon Hernandez on. It's hard to control that. When you got break like that, heck, and he was younger, he's maturing now. He's starting to get a gauge on those pitches, and he's starting to have nice command, and that's what happens when a pitcher gets mature. See the big break now, because of the high strike zone, he caught that one. Estes is tough. When he broke in, he was mainly hard thrower, fastball, cutter, slider. Now he's working that curve in with more effectiveness.
How about this kind of command? 16 batters faced. He's thrown a first pitch strike to 11 of those 16 batters. Sometimes you have the feel of the curve, sometimes you don't. Well, it's working right now for Sean Estes as he's in the bottom of the 5th inning. Walked 108 batters last year in 190 innings. Almost 5 per 9. Fastball stays away. 1-2.
Okay, Eric Chavez has a nice high leg kick. Actually, what he'll do, the batter, he'll lift up his leg, and when hitters do that, they're trying to keep their weight back and time the pitch. See how he's got his weight back on his backside here. Oops. He'll go with it.
And it almost ate him up, but Rich right there, and scooped nicely by Felipe Crespo, who must be taking lessons from JT Snow. That's the second nice play he's had tonight.
Well, JT had something wrong with his chest muscle, and he's taking a few out. Now look at Rich Aurelia. Takes that ball, takes his time, catches it back. He kind of moved back on the hop to catch the big side of the hop, and look at him. Takes his time, got nice hands. Look at this pick. Sweet pick. It almost looks like JT, except JT doesn't wear high leg socks.
Ground ball hit to the first baseman. Another quick inning for Sean Estes as he gets Jeremy Giambi. Estes has retired 15 straight since giving up those back-to-back hits in the first. FX Baseball Saturday Night is brought to you by Computer Associates, the software that manages e-business, and by Fram. Pay a little now or pay a lot later. We are in the Bay Area. It is the San Francisco Giants and the Oakland Athletics on FX. 2 runs early in the ball game by Oakland on a base hit by Johnny Damon, a double by Frank Menachino that scored Damon, and later a ground out by Tejada that would chase Menachino home. For Corey Lytle has been outstanding in this game. He has allowed just 1 hit, Benito Santiago single in the 5th inning. Now he works in the 6th. And Corey Lytle, middle name is Fulton. And you say, why would you say that? Well, that's for his ancestor Robert Fulton, who invented the steamboat.
Well, I guess that means he's powering his way through the Giants then.
That's right. Steamrolling them. Robert Fulton and Corey Fulton Lytle. And there is a breaking ball that misses outside. 2 balls and no strikes, a rare 2-0 count. Russ Davis, he had an error earlier in this game. And Rex, we saw him as a third baseman for Seattle struggle so mightily one year that Lou Piniella tried him in left field. That ball is roped up the middle, a base hit for Russ Davis.
That's right. Russ has had some fielding problems, but he's been doing okay for Dusty Baker. And he gets a nice base hit there with a good short swing. And there's Robbie Thompson, the first base coach. We'll check him out. He's hiding behind Russ Davis. There he is. They call him the get-back coach.
Why?
Because he always yells, "Get back! Get back!"
On the pickoffs.
That's right. Fine second baseman in his day.
With San Francisco.
And he'll tell you his day's still here. Don't be dogging me like that, Hud. But he was some kind of player, and now he's a big help for Dusty Baker.
Now Marvin Bernard. Bernard with the bunt, but bunt's foul. Marvin has had a tough time lately, just 2 hits in his last 25 at bats.
But Dusty Baker, like he tried earlier, a little hit and run with Santiago and Crespo, is trying it again. There's Sonny Jackson flashing those signs at third base. And Dusty's trying to make something happen here. He knows Lytle's dealing. He knows he's got it going, so he's going to try to play small ball here and manufacture a run.
Bernard swings and fouls it off. Now he will take that bunt away as there's 2 strikes on him.
But Bernard, he's scuffled this year a little bit. It's been tough for him. It hasn't been exactly like they've wanted it, but there's still time left. Some guys start cold, and he's normally a slow starter, but not this slow. As long as you make those plays on defense and make a dive and catch here or there, help your team in any possible way you can, you're all right.
Bernard with a smash. Menachino goes 4 to 6 to 3, and it has been that kind of season for Marvin Bernard. Points leader Dale Jarrett, defending champ Tony Stewart, and more of NASCAR's top guns go full speed ahead at the Michigan International Speedway. Winston Cup racing tomorrow, 12:30 Eastern, live from Michigan on FX. Steve Physioc, Rex Hudler with you, a man they used to call the Wonder Dog.
He called me a lot of things less flattering.
No, but your wife Jennifer calls you wonderful, and that's all that matters. Here's Calvin Murray. He is 0 for 2, grounding out and striking out. And Murray swings at that pitch and misses, and he's behind the count, 0-2. When a guy like Lytle has 4 pitches, and you know, Rex, some pitchers will find 2 that work and they'll stay with those 2. This guy's had all 4 all night long.
So if you're a hitter, what you tell yourself is, I'm zoning it. I'm going to pick out a spot out over the plate, and it doesn't matter what he throws. If it's in that spot, I'm going to swing. And that's tough to do when a guy's got 4 pitches and you as a hitter have a split second to make up your mind. That split finger.
Murray did not go around, and the count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
So what a pitcher tries to do to a hitter is keep him off balance, but when you have 2 strikes, and there's Gene Klein's the hitting coach for the Giants, is as a pitcher you want the hitter to wave at a ball out of the zone. That's what Lytle's trying to do here. Didn't want to come in there if he didn't have to.
Curveball hit a long way to deep left field. At the wall, Johnny Damon to pull it down. Lytle holds on to his shutout through 6 innings. The Oakland Athletics with a 2-0 lead on the San Francisco Giants. Bottom of the 6th inning, Oakland has a 2-0 lead over San Francisco. Tomorrow, Bruce Willis stars in the movie that set the standard for the explosive action thriller Die Hard. Tomorrow night, at 8 o'clock on FX Major Movie Sunday. Man, that poor fella, everywhere he went in that building, some bad problem was there to strike him. I hated the part when he had to walk across the glass, but I shouldn't spoil the movie for you, Rex.
Well, don't do it.
Well, here we go. Sean Estes against Eric Burns.
Burns looking to get on track with a knock here, but Estes has been tough, keeping the ball down. Look at him, 11 ground ball outs. He's got his sinker working, and that's what happens when a sinker ball pitcher's on top of his game.
And he has not walked one Oakland A in the ball game.
You can look at the foul grounds here at Networks Association Field here, and there's a lot of room, and what that does is that's a disadvantage to the hitter, because they come over here and catch these balls left and right, and the pitcher, he loves it. More room for his fielders to run under him and catch him.
It may cost a hitter or a team in offense like 1 or 2 outs a game.
Lots of pop-ups in that open area. A lot of work for the fielders.
Now Sean Estes, who's from Las Vegas, going against the kid from St. Francis High School, Mountain View, California. Talked to Eric when he was called up last year. What kind of support did he get from his friends and family? He said, well, the first game I had to leave 45 tickets, and most of them were out of my back pocket, so I had to back off that. Well, Burns rips one to deep left field, and Oakland's going to take a 3-0 lead. He'll be leaving some more tickets after that one.
He capitalizes on an Estes fastball that didn't sink up in the zone. Sean Estes left it up there, and look at Burns. He got one he liked and crushed it. They'll see it up. There it is, up, already elevated. All the hitter has to do is get the back underside of the baseball, and it will carry. As the backspin, the seams on the ball, it'll lift up and get out.
And to think that Eric Burns wasn't in the original lineup. Olmedo Signs was penciled in, but Olmedo came down with a cold and had a high fever, so Burns gets it, and he hits his first major league home run. A big congratulations to Eric Burns.
No doubt.
There is a chopper. Third baseman Russ Davis, quick toss, and 1 out.
Well, Burns will never forget that, or Estes especially. Good left-handed pitcher. He'll love to have Estes in his first page, the first name in his book. We'll check it out here. Another mistake. Like I say, it was up. It didn't sink. It's a straight fastball. And look at that swing. Short and quick as he watches his first big league tater. And Howard Howe, he's applauding the young man, and that could very well be his left fielder next season, every day. Look at it. He's got battle scars. He's a hard ball player. He hustles too, and he can go deep.
Now Frank Menachino. Well, you made a strong statement when you said Eric Burns could be their everyday left fielder. Johnny Damon's their everyday left fielder right now, Rex.
He is, Fizz, but the way he's playing and him becoming a free agent at the end of the season, it would be very unlikely the team would have him back, in my opinion. With all the money, I'm not sure that Oakland can afford Johnny Damon this year, let alone sign him to a free agent contract next year. That's just my opinion. When you got a kid like Burns, this kid here who's a hustler, he's a young kid, he's strong and fast. Sometimes you'll save the money and go with the youth.
Now Menachino breaks his bat, sends it down the line, and even though he shatters the bat, Menachino's going to wind up with a 2-base hit.
Menachino, look at him, gets the ball off the end here, looks like a sinker. As he gets it off the end, breaks his bat, but just kept it inside the line. Russ Davis, hang with him, you can't glove it. Look at this, stay right in there. Shulock says, that's a fair ball. And he goes in and gets it. Check it out, Estes started away, and then he went with the 92, and on the end, he dribbled it down the line for a base hit. Actually, 2 bases.
So with 1 out, the A's threatening again. Pitch track by Questek. Second double for Menachino tonight. He scored after the first one, but Estes has been absolutely brilliant from the first after giving up those 2 hits until right now. He had retired 15 in a row, and then the home run by Burns. Damon grounded out, but a double by Menachino, so Estes wants to slow the damage right here. He's facing Jason Giambi, who has been hot. The American League Player of the Month for May, hitting .384, and he slices one into left field for a hit. Here comes Menachino. They will stop him at third.
Giambi made a nice piece of hitting as he goes the opposite way, but credit Ron Washington. There he is. His nickname is Sweet because he does a sweet job of holding Frank Menachino there. With 1 out, there's no need to send him home when you got a big hitter coming up at Miguel Tejada. We'll check it out here. Giambi, he steps, waits, goes to left field, and he likes the feel of that. As he can tell, that's a knock all the way. Frank Menachino coming down the line here. It looks like he's going to score. And he's held up. Good throw. Rios did a good job, but the ball got to him too quickly as he wasn't able to score. But first and third, 1 out.
And Dave Righetti came out for a visit with Sean Estes because this is an important moment in the game. San Francisco's only down by 3. Runners at the corners, and Righetti knows if Estes can keep that ball down and Tejada hits it on the ground, he can get out of the inning with a double play, and down by just 3. San Francisco has coming up in their half of the 7th inning. It will be Rich Aurelia, Barry Bonds, and Jeff Kent. So they've got an offensive charge ready for Corey Lytle in the 7th.
Tejada, though, is going to try to keep the ball up the middle here. If you're thinking hit, you want to think big part of the field to drive in the runs. You don't want to hit the ball on the ground as it's a potential double play.
How would you pitch Tejada?
Tejada, I'm going to try to keep the ball away from him. I might bust him in hard with some fastballs and then throw the sinker away and let him hit the ground ball double play. That's what the Giants are looking for here. Because what happens is Tejada, he's a pull hitter. Most of his power is to left field, left center. So when you get a pull hitter up there, pitcher wants to put the ball away, and when the hitter tries to pull the outside pitch, he hits a ground ball most of the time.
Drummond Bucor here. Ground ball back to Estes. A 1, a 6, and a 3. He got exactly what he wanted, and that is the pitcher's best friend. And San Francisco trailing by 3. Mike Quade talking with his hitter Miguel Tejada. Eric Burns, though, hits his first home run in the big leagues, and that gives the Oakland Athletics a 3-0 Bay Area lead over San Francisco. Eric Burns Estes, and it's an Oakland 3-0 lead over San Francisco. Tonight's aerials are being brought to you by Budweiser. Track the airship's current location on Budweiser.com. Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball.
They make that beer in St. Louis, the heartland of America.
Absolutely. That was one of the 22 teams you played for, the St. Louis Cardinals. And we are at Network Associates Coliseum, where it will be Corey Lytle facing Rich Aurelia, who's leading the National League in hitting. And check out his hot zones, Rex.
Fizz, he's just unconscious. This year, look at the strikes. He's hitting all these spots right here. He's got them all by being aggressive. Last year, he was a little more selective, just hitting these red spots. Now, just because these blue spots here, there's not a lot in there, doesn't mean he can't hit a pitch in there. But he's more consistent this year as he is swinging the bat, being aggressive.
Like that, and he sends one high in the air, deep to right field. Racing back is Jeremy Giambi. It is off the wall, and it is a lead-off double for Rich Aurelia.
Well, Aurelia again picks out one of those hot red spots. Let's check that out. As it was that middle spot that he was able to take that ball and send it way up off that right center field wall, as Eric Burns did a nice job of trying to track it. There he is. There's no wall in America that can stop Burns, but he couldn't reach up that tall. as that's a two-bagger. Mr. Bonds will set in now. The Giants are trying to get a rally going here.
And they cannot walk Barry Bonds because that would allow the tying run to come to the plate to Jeff Kent. So Bonds up there with the Giants down by 3. Barry takes low ball 1. Lytle will work carefully. Remember, he had a perfect game until facing Bonds in the 4th. And he walked him on a 3-2 count.
Okay, here's the Bonds shift. Shallow right field. Frank Menachino, Tejada over. Lytle being very careful, like he did with Bonds in his previous at-bat. Before that previous at-bat, Bonds walked. And Lytle had a perfect game going at the time. That'll tell you the kind of respect that Bonds gets.
The count, 2 balls and no strikes. Boy, they shift that defense around, playing him to pull. He gets a lot of room in left center.
Lytle keeping the ball down and away from Mr. Bonds. Now has run the count to 3-0. And there it is. It all shifted. The players over here on all sides, they don't care if he hits one in this alley here. You could drive a truck through that. They don't care. They just want to get the out on the ground, and that's what they're playing for, Art Howe's defense.
That just does graze the outside corner, and Bonds thought it was ball 4, so the count goes to 3-1. Well, here's why they put the shift on. 22 to center, 26 to right.
There you go. And there aren't any secrets in baseball, as there have scouts here a day before, a week before. There's just nothing sacred. Bonds is known to hit the ball on the ground to the right side. So they try to force him to hit the ball the other way.
And he runs the count full, 3-2. He has an outstanding eye every single year. He will walk over 100 times. As a matter of fact, in '96, when he had a great year with San Francisco, he walked 151 times that season. Both Giambi and Bonds with one of the most disciplined eyes in baseball.
Let's see what Ramon shows him down here. Fastball in, away with the runner at second. They're scrambling those signs.
In there, strike 3. What a pitch by Corey Lytle.
Corey challenged Barry with a fastball down the middle, and if there's one time Barry lets his guard down, sometimes it's with a fastball with 2 strikes. He's had a hard time hitting that. Check it out here. Pitch by pitch, ball down low. Ball 1, ball 2, curveball. He's not fishing. Ball 3, looks like he's going to get a walk. Caught the corner barely. There's a foul ball away. And that had some nice riding action. Little 2-seamer with some movement, and that froze Bonds in his tracks.
So one big out now in the 7th inning. Bonds could not even get Aurelia to third base, where a ground ball or fly ball could get San Francisco the first run. So it is up to Jeff Kent now, who is struck out and grounded out against Corey Lytle. Kent takes, and it's ball 1.
Big strikeout by Lytle, punching out Bonds.
And that ties a career high of 7. He has done it twice in his career, once last year and once this year. So Lytle with 7 again, and he's just in the 7th inning. He has passed the 80 pitch mark now in the ball game. Oakland has their bullpen, despite Lytle's brilliance. Tam, the right-hander, Guthrie, the left-hander. But this is the way Oakland has set things up. Not too many of their starting pitchers will go past 100 that much. We saw Tim Hudson throw 106 pitches and was dominating Anaheim on Thursday, and he was taken out by Art Howe after 7. Jeff Kent to center field, and this is a bomb.
Oh, wow. My. And Art Howe did the right thing by getting the bullpen loose, because it looks like Lytle's starting to waver with his command, keeping that ball up in the zone. And Jeff Kent made him pay as he hit a monster bomb to center field. There's the pitch again. We'll see what happened. Looked like a sinker or some kind of off-speed pitch that didn't quite sink enough, and Kent stayed with it right up at the big part of the field. And look at this ball hit way up at the top of the screen up here. Lytle's wishing he had a rubber band on that ball and could bring it back, but there's no chance.
Number 9 for Jeff Kent.
Pitch tracks will show us that that pitch was right down the middle, and it was sent way up in here.
Better than 430 feet from home plate.
The hitter says, you throw it 90, I'll hit it 110.
Well, it looked like that from Jeff Kent because he just launched it into the night. Every single fan in this facility knew it was gone as soon as it left the bat of Jeff Kent.
Put the tape measure on that one, and it could be a beauty.
So with one out, the tying run now comes to the plate in Benito Santiago. Oakland led 3-0 coming into the frame, and there's a smash to the third baseman, Eric Chavez. But they're hitting Corey much harder.
Yes, and this is what good hitters do. Look at the pitches here by Lytle. 32 balls, 53 strikes, 85 in total. He's still got lots left in his arsenal. But Art Howe's going to make a slow walk out to the mound right now, and looks like he's trying to give those other relievers a little chance to get loose here by his pace.
Lytle has gone 6 2/3 innings. He gets a pat on the back from Art Howe, and they've asked for the left-hander. That means Mark Guthrie will come out. Lytle has gone 85 pitches in the game, and even though he has been one of the most dependable starters for the A's, he's coming out in the 7th leading by a run. Corey Lytle tied his career best with strikeouts with 7, was outstanding for 6 1/3. And as you take a look at his strikeouts, my question to you is, was that last battle with Barry Bonds, did that tax him mentally?
Well, there's a good chance it did, because Kent followed him. You can't afford to let up mentally. And here he is. Look at Lytle's pitches. He was on top of his game for 6 innings until this inning here. There's Bonds. He got him on a call third. The crowd went wild, and he might have had a mental letdown. And here's the next batter, Jeff Kent, who says, I will bust you dead central with a nice, easy swing. But Lytle tied his career high in strikeouts to 7. A nice performance by Corey tonight.
Well, the new pitcher for the Oakland Athletics is Mark Guthrie, the left-hander, pitching in his 21st game this year. Has a nice record, but an earned run average over 5. Opponent's only hitting .269, and look at that, 22 strikeouts in 20 2/3 innings.
He's a veteran left-hander who's got 4 pitches: fastball, slider, curveball, and a changeup, and he'll throw them anytime. That's what crafty veterans do usually, and you only say crafty for left-handers normally, and I don't know why, but he's crafty, especially when you got some time on you.
Well, he crafts one on the outside there, and with Art Howe it would be Art and Crafts. And so Guthrie's 35 years old and a left-hander, 6'4", 215, and he's facing Felipe Crespo, who had 2 home runs on Thursday off Adam Eaton. So he's got some kind of power, and he muscles that one into left field for a base hit. So now the tying run is on for San Francisco with Armando Rios coming to the plate.
Oh, with Corey Lytle struggling with his 1-loss record this year, I think Art Howe took him out just so he wouldn't lose the game. I mean, not that the Giants will catch him and go ahead, but in case they did, he didn't want to hurt his psyche. Art Howe's smart. He's a good manager, and he knows how to work the mental side of the players, and he want to give confidence to Corey Lytle and get him out of there. Even though the game is very physical, it's a lot mental, though, more mental. When you play baseball every single day, 162 games, not counting spring training, baseball's a grind. And if you're not sharp mentally, it'll show. You've got to try to stay strong mentally.
San Francisco certainly showed that last year. There's a strike in the inside corner to Armando Rios, and I say that because San Francisco was in the same situation this time last year. Matter of fact, a little later, just 2 days away from being 7.5 back of Arizona. They caught Arizona last year and wound up beating the Dodgers by 11 games to win the National League West. Giants history shows that they've been there before and they can get back. Guthrie picks his man off, and Crespo is thrown out by a mile. Corey Lytle off the hook because of Guthrie's pickoff. Jeff Kent, though, brings San Francisco back in the ball game with this 7th inning black to straightaway center. 3-2 Oakland.
Pilot the Bombardier.
Pfizer blimp is moving through the clouds. The Athletics with a 3-2 lead over San Francisco. And this next week on FX, it's a special Friday night baseball featuring a rematch of last year's Subway Series as Derek Jeter and the Yankees head to Shea Stadium to take on Mike Piazza and the Mets. Coverage begins this Friday night at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on FX. Check local listings for the start times in your area. A rematch of last year's World Series Classic.
Because I think I would pay to be at that game. That pumps me up because those two teams will go down to the wire battling. It doesn't matter what their records are either. They're battling.
You wanted Clemens in there pitching against Piazza, didn't you?
Well, I'd like to see Roger grab a bat once in a while because I've been a victim of being plucked by Roger before. And hey, maybe he can get a little rib sandwich once in a while. He might change his style a little bit.
The Oakland A's bat in the bottom of the 7th inning. Terrence Long to lead things off. He'll be followed by Ramon Hernandez and then Eric Chavez. Estes pitching well. Here is Long going to left field, but not deep enough. Armando Rios makes the catch. 1 out. Estes has just been pitching brilliant baseball this year. He has given up 2 runs in the first inning of this affair and 1 in the 6th on the solo home run by Eric Burns. And right now is the difference in the game. But we told you a 5-1 record and a 1.6 ERA in his last 9 efforts. As a matter of fact, he had a 20-inning scoreless streak broken in the first inning by allowing those 2 runs. Now a chopper back at him, and Estes throws out Ramon Hernandez. Boy, Sean has really been sharp. I mean, you take a look at what he has done at Pac Bell versus the road. He hasn't lost this year at Pac Bell, but he's trying to win his first road game of the season.
Likes that home cooking, and it's good for Dusty Baker that he has a #1 stopper at home. That's important. When he takes the mound there, he knows for sure he's going to win. Doesn't always happen, but so far this year it has.
Can you imagine Seattle with Sean Estes in the rotation? They had him at one time, and they traded him to San Francisco for Solomon Torres. Remember Solomon?
That's right.
1995 deal. In 97, he won 19 games. Smash. Kent knocks down, has plenty of time, and throws out Eric Chavez. But Estes with San Francisco has been competing very well tonight. He is down by just 1 as we head to the 8th inning in Oakland, California. This should be a Chip Hilton novel. The team that would not lose, the Seattle Mariners of 2001. They've won 15 games in a row. They are 17.5 in front of the Anaheim Angels, 18 in front of the Oakland Athletics. One of the best starts ever in Major League history. They've already matched the 1907 Cubs for 2nd best start ever at 47-12. The Giants with the best start ever in 1912 at 48-11. And they're down to the Padres 2-0 top of the 3rd. Freddie Garcia against Bobby Jones. Mariners 15-game win streak, 4 shy of the American League record, 19 in a row set by the 1906 Chicago White Sox. and the 1947 New York Yankees with their great center fielder Joltin' Joe DiMaggio.
They are some kind of hot, but San Diego is putting a little thumping on them right now. 2-0.
Oh, that's a thumping.
It's a little thumping. After a team going on a winning streak, 15-game winning streak, that's a little thumping.
They just got to get the machine to the plate. Brett Boone. Brett Boone with 66 RBIs this year. I mean, that is his season average in his past.
How about Ichiro?
Well, he's been incredible. 98 hits. That leads the American League in hits. But look at Brett Boone. I mean, last year he had 251 with 74 RBIs. He's got 66 already. That is his season average.
I mean, is that more RBIs than Manny?
Yep. Wow. Manny Ramirez was 64. Alex Rodriguez 53. Juan Gonzalez was 53. In the National League, Todd Helton has 65, one behind Brett Boone.
He's one of the reasons that they're right at the top. But don't discount Lou Piniella and his bullpen. Their pitching has been awesome. Their bullpen's solid. Paniagua, Arthur Rose, Nelson.
Last year, the Oakland Athletics won 91 games, lost 70, and finished ahead of Seattle by a half game. They would lose to the New York Yankees in 5 games. It was their first postseason since 1992, but the way they competed, and with those 3 young pitchers, Barry Zito, Tim Hudson, and Mark Mulder, a lot of people picked the A's to win the West this year, particularly after Seattle lost Alex Rodriguez. Here it is Mark Guthrie against Rios, and a ground ball is hit to Frank Menechino. Armando is the first man out in the top of the 8th inning.
There's Frankie Menechino. Had been a utility player coming in, and now he's kind of found himself an everyday job because he's going deep and he's actually making it happen for the A's. But Mark McLemore from Seattle has been a real nice player for Lou Piniella because he's playing all over the ball diamond, and a manager needs a guy like that.
Well, we will have a pitching change here as Art Howe wants the right-hander. Mark Guthrie comes out. It's the A's 3 and the Giants 2. Top of the 8th inning here at Network Associates Coliseum, and Oakland has a 3-2 lead on San Francisco. This week on Fox Family's Thursday Night Baseball, it's exciting interleague action as Sean Casey and the Reds head to Comiskey to take on Macleo Ordonez and the White Sox. Coverage begins next week at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on Fox Family. Check local listings for the start times in your area. Here on an FX Saturday night baseball game, it is San Francisco and Oakland, the second game of a 3-game series. Oakland won last night 4-2 and is leading here 3-2. And on comes Jeff Tam, who has really pitched well. He is not allowed a run in 3 June outings, and his ERA just 1.48 in his last 23 games, Rex.
He has a sinking fastball, a little slider, and a split finger that he uses. Trying to keep the ball on the ground. Ground ball pitcher. Has nice movement.
He will face Russ Davis, who does have considerable power, 7 home runs this year. Tam, another one of those guys who has persevered, now 30 years old, and this is really his second full big league season.
All of his pitches move down, and therefore he's a ground ball pitcher. The slider, split finger works down, and he has some sink to his fastball.
And he has been tough against the first batters that he's faced. The last 19, just 2 have hits. Tap foul.
And that's an outside pitch, and when you try to pull it, you hit it on the ground. Look at Sonny Jackson throwing that ball in the stands. Nice form. Boy, Sonny, maybe.
Former shortstop with the Houston Colt 45s a few seasons back.
Shadows have gone away here in Oakland. It's a little bit easier to hit now. The lights are kicking in. We'll see if the Giants can try to catch the A's.
Hot foul. Count goes 1 ball and 2 strikes. Part of Oakland's challenge this year was getting off to such a miserable start, worst start in franchise history, and I'm talking 101 years going back to the old Philadelphia Athletics. Not even one of those A's teams started out 2-10, but Oakland did this year, and they have been spinning their wheels trying to play catch up with Seattle. Seattle, San Diego now in the 4th inning, 2-0 Padres. A's with a win could get back to 500. On the outside corner, beautifully placed by Jeff Tam, and he gets the strikeout. 2 outs now in the 8th inning.
There's Dusty, not real happy with that. What you know about this time of the game, look at that. Strike on the outside corner. Russ Davis is thinking he's got another pitch. It kind of shocked him a little. He says, no, that wasn't a strike in my opinion. Now pitch tracks will show you it was a borderline pitch. But it's up to the umpire, Bill Miller.
Pitch tracks by Questek.
Now with Marvin Bernard coming up here, if this was in a National League city, if this was at Pac Bell, Dusty Baker would have to make a decision right now on whether to pinch hit for him or not.
For Sean Estes, who is the starting pitcher and pitching so well in this game. But he can stay with Sean as Bernard stays in there, and Tam with that splitter for strike 1.
This is what interleague brings. It brings a different flavor to the teams here. Now there's Estes, who's going to stay in the game because he's in an American League ballpark. Doesn't have to be pinned. There's JT Snow right there on his right, on your left. There he is, Jack. He's recovering. He should be back off the DL anytime soon now.
Strike 2. Well, Tam has it going. Snow says he should be back on Monday. A 6-time Gold Glover. 1-2 with the Anaheim Angels, and 4 now with San Francisco. Still makes his home in Southern California. He grew up a great star at Los Alamitos High School and then went to the University of Arizona. 2 outs, and the count 0-2 to Marvin Bernard with 3 home runs this year. Bernard may have chased a pitch out of the strike zone, but too tough to take with 2 strikes. And he rolls it to Giambi, and Oakland will head to the bottom of the 8th inning, protecting a 3-2 lead over San Francisco. These beautiful live shots are provided by the Budweiser.com airship. Budweiser, crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer. This Bud's for you. We're here at Network Associates Coliseum, game 2 of this 3-game interleague series between the Giants and A's, and Sean Estes continues his work. He tried to find his rhythm early. First 4 batters he faced, 2 hits, both scored. Last 21, just 3 hits allowed. And the 1 run he allowed, Eric Burns' first major league home run to lead off the 6th inning. Burns will bat second in this frame as we go Giambi, Burns, and Damon here in the bottom of the 8th inning.
Estes is going to have to get some offensive help if he's going to win his first game on the road this year.
Well, he has a pretty good lineup coming up. Calvin Murray, Rich Aurelio, who leads the National League in hitting, and then Mr. Bonds. A little tapper, Estes will field himself, and he will tag out Jeremy Giambi for the first out of the bottom of the 8th inning. And warming up for the Oakland Athletics, Jason Isringhausen, who has been the top closer for the A's and had his best season in his big league career last year, and he has saved already 11 this season.
Is he?
Yes, he is.
Well, it'll be a good matchup when Bonds comes in, because Bonds has never gotten a hit off of Isringhausen.
There's always a first. Dusty Baker knows that because he has been a champion in his past. Dusty, the 1977 National League Championship Series most valuable player. Well, here is Mr. Burns, who in his last at bat hit his first career home run, a long blast to deep left field. And he takes outside from Sean Estes. Ball 1.
He's a strong kid. I talked about that earlier, but he's got some speed that goes along with it. He's a proud man to have Sean Estes in his first home run book. Actually, it's just a page. It's not a book yet.
Barry Bonds is 526. His first came off Craig McMurtry, the old Atlanta pitcher.
Oh, that's a novel.
That's a novel.
That book.
They gave us a novel.
That home run book.
They gave us a press packet that had about 11 pages all on Bonds' exploits.
But Burns, watch how he gets ready. Look at him move. He's moving that bat around, and that's good for his timing, but not on that pitch because you can't touch it.
A strikeout by Estes, his first since the 4th inning and his 4th of the ball game. Next week, it's Fox Saturday Baseball presented by Radio Shack as interleague play continues with a rematch of last year's Subway Series as Derek Jeter and the Yankees take on Mike Piazza and the Mets, or the White Sox clash with the Cardinals. Then Jason Giambi and the A's head across the bay to battle Bonds and the Giants, or the Rangers collide with the Astros. Coverage begins at 1 Eastern Pacific on Fox. Watch the entire baseball season unfold across the Fox networks.
Both of these teams playing against each other since '97. Their records are 10-10. At least they were until last night.
Oakland won it. Now 11 victories for the A's to 10 for the Giants. Here's Johnny Damon. He is 1 for 3 in the game. On base twice, though, as he reached on the air by Russ Davis. And what Oakland and the rest of the American League West has to do is forget about the title. They have to go for the wild card.
That's right, and I'm just not sure. There's plenty of room in foul territory there, but just can't get to it. Well, I really think that the wild card, my opinion, will probably come out of the East.
Right now, Minnesota has the lead as they're in second place by just a half game to Cleveland. Then you have Boston and New York battling for the American League East lead. There's a chopper in the hole. Jeff Kent has it. He spins and fires. Nice play by Jeff Kent. So San Francisco down by a run. They need 1 to tie, 2 for the lead, and here is the top closer for Oakland getting ready to come in, Jason Isringhausen. FX Baseball Saturday Night has been brought to you by Lotrimin AF, the #1 recommendation of doctors, and by Nissan. Driven. Steve Physioc, Rex Hudler with you at Network Associates Coliseum and the East Bay of Northern California. The Oakland Athletics with a 3-2 lead over San Francisco. Sean Estes pitched a terrific game, a complete game, even if he loses. But right now, he will watch as Jason Isringhausen will try and close out a 3-2 Oakland lead. But if the Giants score 2 runs, San Francisco would have the advantage and Estes would have a chance for the win. Here's Calvin Murray. He bunts. Isringhausen up quickly. He must repel. And it is down the right field line. And Murray off for the races. He will hold at second base, and a great opportunity for San Francisco.
Well, let's check it out. As Calvin Murray has a nice idea here to try to get on base. Good leadoff hitters will use the bunt, and this is perfect situation to do it. Now he bunts it right at Isringhausen, and look at that. Now he gets out of the box. We'll see how if he runs inside that baseline, he's not allowed to as he gets hit right here in the head, and we'll check it out. Looks like he's right on that baseline, but there's no argument by Art Howe. And it hits him right in the head, doink. And then credit Eric Burns over here pursuing this ball to, there's Izzy again on the replay. Hits him right in the coconut, and it clears off, but Eric Burns did a great job of hustling, backing up the A's right fielder to keep Murray from getting to third base. That's good hustle.
So the tying run at second in scoring position with the National League's leading hitter at the plate in Rich Aurelia. Aurelia doubled in his last at bat. Isringhausen has had a rough time with first batters this year.
Izzy has a fastball, curveball, changeup, and he throws any of them any time, but that fastball's from 92 to 96, and it blazes.
Aurelia bunts. Isringhausen looks at third, goes to first. The sacrifice executed, and to third, the tying run.
So Murray heads up with a nice attempt on the bunt. Ball hits him in the head. Now he's at third base with less than 1 out, and here it is, Rich Aurelia. Oh, no, this is Calvin Murray. This is the first attempt right here. Now look at Izzy looks at third base for Murray, who's on second, heading to third. Look at it. He's looking over here. He had time, but now he decides to take his time and get 1 out for sure.
Now Barry Bonds, you play the manager. Would you intentionally walk the go-ahead run?
You know, it's been done before. You got Ken on deck, and that would set up a double play situation. But I'm going to go right after him, especially when I got a good pitcher in Isringhausen. Check out the shift. They're in, but they're over. They're over on the side. Right side of the infield.
He came after him at 92, and Bonds looking for home run number 527 in his great career. Barry Bonds is the only player I have ever seen intentionally walk with the bases loaded. That's how dangerous he is.
High fastball looks good, but he couldn't touch it. Not even Barry Bonds, as that ball was blown by him.
Popped up, foul, and out of play. Now Bonds behind the count, 0-2. The game I'm talking about, San Francisco and Arizona Candlestick Park a few years ago. Barry Bonds was intentionally passed by Buck Showalter with the bases loaded, and Arizona leading by 2. So Bonds would drive in the run that would pull them within 1. Brent Mayne would follow and hit a streaming line drive that almost won the game, but the right fielder would catch it. Barry tried to get out of the way, and they say he strikes out, but coming home to score, Calvin Murray.
Well, Barry Bonds saying he foul-tipped it. He thinks he foul-tipped it. Ramon Hernandez tags him anyway, and umpire Bill Miller just called him out. In the meantime, it was a pass ball, and Murray will score and tie it up.
3-3 ball game. So Bonds strikes out, and even though the game was tied, he was calling for a foul ball.
We'll see if we can hear it. Must have got all glove, as we didn't hear a little tick on the bat. And you can see right here, it just ticked off the glove of Ramon Hernandez. But it went back to the screen with a runner on third, and that'll score a run. Bonds strikes out, but tie ball game.
So Art Howe, who at one time had a 3-0 lead in this ball game, now sees it evaporate on an error by his pitcher Jason Isringhausen, on a bunt play by Calvin Murray, who goes to second base, the sacrifice by Aurelia, and on a passed ball, Murray scores to tie it up. Now Jeff Kent. Up high, 1-1. Last at bat, Kent hit a 430-foot home run that brought San Francisco to within 1.
That big curve ball by Izzy, and he's careful with Jeff Kent. Kent with a big home run there, dead center field, a 2-run job, got him close. Art Howe saying, wow, he's seething here a little bit as Calvin Murray surprised everybody with a an actual bunt attempt for base hit.
That one misses. 3 balls and 1 strike. Isringhausen had been very, very sharp. As a matter of fact, he had started his career with 14 consecutive saves. He fell 1 short of the major league record for consecutive saves at the start of a career set by Greg McMichael and the Giants closer Rob Nen, then with Florida. Ball popped foul. It will be out of play. Now the count is full, 3-2. Isringhausen this year is 3rd in the American League with the most blown saves, with 3.
He's got 4 good pitches, as he once was a starting pitcher. Now as a closer, you only use 1 or 2, but he's not afraid to use any of them. That goes to the pitcher's advantage.
Well, he had a week last year that turned into one of the worst nightmares in his career. In a span of 4 days in August last year, Isringhausen blew one save without throwing a pitch. He balked the run home. Then he came into a game in New York, blew a save on his first pitch. Bernie Williams hit a home run and turned that tie into a loss on his next pitch, David Justice's home run. So that's 2 blown saves on one pitch, a loss on the next pitch if you're scoring. And he loses Jeff Kent now, who represents the go-ahead run. 3-2. That was awfully close outside.
Sure was, and Kent has better eyes than I do, because this ball is right on the outside part of the plate there. Might have been off just a hair, but Ramon Hernandez tried to hide that, or tried to make it look like it was a strike. Didn't work. Art Howe's got more of a jog now, and what this is, whenever the manager runs out, that means he has something he wants to say, and he's talking about Benito Santiago here.
And Rex, this is what has hurt San Francisco this year. Last year they would have run out JT Snow and then Ellis Burks after Bonds and Kent. This year it's Benito Santiago and Felipe Crespo. JT Snow hopes that he can come back as early as Monday, as San Francisco will entertain then Anaheim Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Eric Davis was signed in the offseason to spell Ellis Burks. Burks having a terrific year for Cleveland, but he was a huge reason San Francisco had much success last year. Right now it is Benito Santiago, and he fouls it out of play, strike 1.
Benito has some pop. He can go deep. Isringhausen, he's got the advantage to have 4 pitches to use against him here. He could hit the gap. Jeff Kent runs okay. He's an average runner. He's not a blazer, but he's not slow either. He possibly could score on a gapper. Benito Santiago, he has good pop to left field and left center. He can go to center field too, but he's certainly concentrating on right now not getting cheated. He wants to get a full swing on Isringhausen. You can see the outfield's playing him fairly deep. They don't want any doubles back there. Score the run. Go ahead run for the Giants.
Kent goes, pitch swung on, foul back, and Jeff had a great jump.
Yes, and that was a I'm going to steal a base jump. Trying to get in scoring position for Benito. There's Dusty Baker pulling the strings and flashing the signs. He's not real happy that Benito swung at this pitch, because Baker knows that he had the base stolen. Want to get in scoring position. Sometimes a hitter.
I also think he thought Benito had his pitch.
Could have been, because Benito sitting over 300, he can get the job done.
They will work him away, and they pitch out. Kent did not move. Dusty to Sonny to Benito.
Art Howe now in turn gives the signs back to Ramon Hernandez, the catcher, and these are whether to pitch out or throw to first base.
Kent does not go, and the pitch just does miss again. This time Isringhausen teasing him away at 78 miles an hour.
It's always cat and mouse games going between both managers on trying to outguess one another. See who's going to steal or who's going to pitch out. Benito being patient, trying to stay loose, concentrate. Isringhausen just letting Jeff Kent know that he's there. Wasn't necessarily trying to pick him off, but that's more of a, hey, I know you're over there move, and that helps keep the base runner close.
The inning started on an error by the closer Isringhausen. Sacrifice on a strikeout, a pass ball, Calvin Murray came home with a tying run. Now Jeff Kent trying to break this 3-3 tie from first base. And again, Isringhausen goes to first.
Ken Maka sitting to the right there. There's Kenny. Rick Peterson in the middle. Of course, there's Art Howell, the manager. Rick Peterson, the pitching coach. Kenny Maka, the bench coach. Look at them. They're both flashing signs. They're trying to disguise it from the San Francisco bench.
Oh, and Jeff Kent was going to go on first move and then put the brakes on. And by the time Isringhausen looked over his shoulder, Kent was already racing back towards first. They had him out.
Well, credit Isringhausen, are actually the guys behind him in the infield who yelled, "Step off, step off!" Because they saw Kent was getting a big lead. A lot of verbal communication out there on the field has to be done that helps you win games.
A long at-bat between Isringhausen and Santiago. Kent does not go. And the pitch on the inside corner. A beauty by Isringhausen, but he blows the save. Came in with a 3-2 lead. He leaves with the score tied at 3. You can see that sunset over the San Mateo Bridge as we are in the Bay Area. Bay Area rivalry that is the Giants and Athletics tied at 3 here in the bottom of the 9th inning. And here's what happened in the 9th inning. Rex, tell us.
Oh, man, it was exciting. Grab your seats. Calvin Murray with a surprise attack with a bunt. Izzy throws it up the line and it hits him in the dome, and it goes sideways. Here's a pass ball right here that enables Murray to score as he was sacrificed to third by Aurelia. And there it is, all knotted up at 3. The Bay Area series here, second game.
Oakland won last night 4-2. So Sean Estes stays in the game here in the bottom of the 9th inning. He has pitched a marvelous game, giving up 3 runs. 2 came in the first, the other in the 6th inning on a leadoff home run by Eric Burns, the first in his big league career.
Well, if we were playing it by National League rules, Estes would have been long gone. They would have pinch hit for him in the 8th. But they're not. They're playing in the Oakland A's ballpark here. American League rules stand. So Estes gets to come out for the 9th.
Sean will face Frank Menechino, Jason Giambi, and Miguel Tejada. The heart of the Oakland batting order. And Menechino has a pair of doubles in this game off Sean Estes. Warming up in the San Francisco pen, the right-hander Felix Rodriguez, the lefty Aaron Fultz. Menechino's double back in the first inning drove in Oakland's first run as he shot one in the left field gap. He would later score in Miguel Tejada's ground out.
2 doubles so far. And Frankie looking to add on here in front of this nice crowd. Estes' last fastball was around 89 miles an hour. He's lost a little bit of velocity, but Dusty Baker thinks he can still stay in there and hit his spots.
And he misses 87 miles an hour away. And the count is 3-1 with Giambi on deck.
Now Dusty's, I'm sure he's thinking if this runner gets on, he's got to go get him. He's got a righty and a lefty up in the bullpen ready to go. So Dusty Baker is waiting on this pitch.
This is the first 3-ball count in the game for Sean Estes, and it's now 3-2. That was just the 93rd pitch, though. Great efficiency through 8+ innings.
It's excellent. Most guys, if their command's not there, they're 120 pitches or so.
Came with the fastball, popped up on the infield. Russ Davis. 1 big out. But it does not mean anything gets easier for Sean Estes as the American League most valuable player comes to the plate in Jason Giambi. And what a most valuable player year he had 1 season ago. .333 average, 43 home runs, 137 RBIs. 4 straight years he has led the Oakland Athletics in batting. They love him. They need him. Now sign him. They almost had him signed at the end of spring training, but both sides called it off. And now Giambi having another terrific year, hitting .361 with 16 homers and 50 runs driven in. He has a hit earlier tonight, a base hit. Well, we have proposals out for Jason as well.
Yo, Frankie, how you doing? Giambi's hitting .307 against left-handers this year, so he's able to get the job done. He's out of those 88 at-bats, he's got 5 homers.
And you were talking about his growth every single year. Remember, 2 years ago, he hit .257 off left-handers. Last year over 300, and this year again over 300. That is working on your craft. .295, it was in '98. Before that, in '97, .257. Smacks that foul out of play. Now the count Estes way 1-2.
He got a high fastball and he went after it. Now it's 0-2, or 1-2, excuse me, and we'll check out the defense here as they're way deep in the outfield. Look at him hugging the track out there.
But Hud, with nobody on, they were playing him to pull earlier in the game, and they're all fanned out now.
Now they're staying up the middle because it's a tie ball game, but you got Crespi over here guarding the line, doesn't want the double down the line. 1-2, and they're playing him straight up.
Low and inside, and he pumped it up to 93 miles an hour on that last pitch. And I like to see a left-hander late in the game come inside of the power hitters.
Well, sure, they've got to, because that sets up the pitches away for him. So he tried there with Giambi. Good location down, though, as a tester. Giambi with a nice eye. He walks a lot.
Giambi swings and fouls it off again. The count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Giambi wishes he had that one back, as it was grooved down the middle.
Jason grounded out his first 2 times up to the first baseman Crespo. His last at bat, he lined a single to left field. First time he's tried to go opposite field in this game.
Estes here will likely try to sweep one away from Giambi.
And he swings and misses and strikes out.
Nice off-speed pitch. Actually, he took something off. There's the first pitch. High. Another one high. They're trying to get him up. Belt high. Down low. And you got to go. Took a little something off of that. Giambi's head came off it, too. Whenever that head comes off it, you don't see the ball all the way. But Estes took something off of that last pitch.
Now Miguel Tejada. Tejada looked like he was breaking out of a slump in Anaheim, where he was really swinging the bat well, and then fell back in lately. He is 0 for 3 in this ball game and just hitting .170 in June. He has some kind of power. He fouls that one off. I mean, if I were to ask you the question, who had more RBIs last year, Barry Bonds or Miguel Tejada, what would your first answer be?
Mr. Bonds.
No, it was Mr. Tejada. He had 115 last year, most ever by an A's shortstop at Philadelphia, Kansas City, or Oakland. Barry Bonds last year drove in 106. He chases a bad pitch.
Well, that Estes curveball starts up so high, and the hitter sees it up there. He thinks it's going to come in the strike zone for a strike, but man, it just falls even further than the batter believes as it ends up on the ground. There's pitch tracks to show you, and actually Estes has a little bigger arc on his ball than pitch tracks. But look, at the end result is where it's located, and that's down in a nice pitch.
Estes with the 1-2. He got him to chase. Ball drifts away. Up quickly and tossing Santiago. And safe at first is Tejada. So a strikeout and a pass ball, and Oakland with still life here in the bottom of the 9th inning.
Well, Benito Santiago was a little off balance when he made the throw, so he didn't plant his feet and make an accurate throw. He thought he didn't have enough time, but Watch this now. If Tejada runs right now, it's no play, but he got it late. Now watch him off balance. Look at Benito. He's leaning back, and he made a bad throw. Basically, he needs to plant his feet and come over the top and throw a nice seed over there. Tough angle, though, as the runner was in the way. But watch him as he's leaning back like this. See, he's off balance. Therefore, the ball's going to tail and fall away from the first baseman, and it did. Good hustle by Tejada, though, once he got going.
So Terrence Long with a chance to win the game. Long takes a fastball outside, strike one, outside corner. Long is fly to center, grounded to second, fly to left. Estes with a good move at first, and now he'll go that way to keep Miguel close.
Be interesting to see if Art Howe, with 2 outs here, is going to send Tejada. It's not a bad situation here. You got a leadoff hitter in Long in case he gets thrown out for the next inning. But you want to try to get Tejada into scoring position.
Tejada was thinking about it. He had that right shoulder leaning towards second, but Estes' move was just a check.
Tejada stolen 5 bases this year, and to be successful against a left-hander that has a good move like Estes, you have to go first movement if you're a base runner. The minute he lifts up his leg, you're gone. Oh, and he just hesitated there as he wanted to.
Fooled Tejada. The ball got away, and Santiago almost saw Tejada have a delayed steal there.
So Mike Quaddy, the first base coach for the A's, is whispering in Tejada's ear, telling him, now watch this. If he leaves first movement, he's got it right here. He thinks about it. He took off, started, and then it just messed him up because Estes has such a good move. It's in the base runner's mind.
I think Estes has to forget about Tejada. He's got 2 strikes in the batter, Terrence Long, and he knows that Long is going to chase anything that's close.
So 2 strikes here. Tejada will probably take off for second.
Or will they pitch out? They do.
Well, you can do that when you have the batter behind 0-2. Now Art Howe is going ahead and work against that. Now they could pitch out 2 pitches in a row. Give Benito Santiago a nice clean shot at second base.
But Dusty Baker wants total concentration on the man at the plate. Tejada can't steal second, third, and home on 1 play. The guy at the plate is the only one that can hurt Sean right here, and he has to count his way 1 and 2.
We'll check out. Benito is passing along Dusty Baker's signs, and it's not to call the pitches, it's just for pitch outs and throw overs.
He's coming home. Long checks his swing. 2-2. Oakland at one time had a 3-0 lead with 2 in the first and a solo home run by Eric Burns in the 6th. But San Francisco came back with a 2-run home run by Jeff Kent in the 7th and a run that scored without a hit in the 9th inning to tie it up at 3.
Benito looks like he's not going to throw over on this one.
Tejada goes, and Long fouls it back and out of play.
Sometimes that's what the runner has to deal with when the hitter has 2 strikes on him. A chance that he's going to swing if it's close. Because the hitter doesn't want to strike out with 2 outs and put it in play. But with Tejada running, trying to steal the base, if Long can hit a well-placed ball out there, he could score Tejada if he hits the gap. With all the brain trust, the coaches in there trying to figure out Tejada's running or not here with 2-2, but they're going to throw over there now as Benito told him to.
And Tejada has his move measured nicely. He wants Andy Pettit's move here with that look home, leg up, near balk, go to first. Gone.
Said he threw him the thumb. That means he's throwing over there. It's pretty easy. You folks back home can check out those signs. When he goes the thumb over to first, that means throw over. He's not trying to trick anybody here. But they'll run through these signs in spring training time and time and time again to get them in the player's mind. So they have these signs when the season starts.
Long chops 1-2 first. Crespo has it, And we are headed to extra innings in interleague meeting number 22 between San Francisco and the Oakland A's. Tenth inning we go on an FX Baseball Saturday night. The Giants and A's are tied at 3. This week on FX is a special Friday night baseball featuring a rematch of last year's Subway Series as Derek Jeter and the Yankees head to Shea Stadium to take on Mike Piazza and the Mets. Coverage begins this Friday night at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on FX. Check local listings for the start times in your area. Should be a great showcase. The Yankees and Mets. Right now, the Yankees were meeting the Atlanta Braves earlier today, and the Braves won that one 10-6. Philadelphia beat Boston 5-2. So Boston still has a 1-game lead over New York in the American League East. Here we go to the 10th inning. Felipe Crespo will start things for San Francisco.
Felipe made some real nice plays at first base, scooping the ball out and making a few stretches, and got a hit to go with it.
Well, guess who scored a couple of runs? Seattle, and they have now tied it with San Diego at 2 in the 6th inning. Seattle tries to go, what is it now, 48-12? My gosh, they would be 36 games over 500 in early June. Wow. Crespo swings and misses Isringhausen, really brings the heat at 95.
Is he starting to get loose? He likes to throw the high fastball.
San Francisco chasing Arizona, who has the lead in the National League West by 4 games over the Dodgers. Colorado is 5.5 when the day began. The Giants 7 behind. But of course, Arizona did lose Todd Stottlemyre for the year. He's had those elbow and shoulder problems. That's upstairs. And Hud, how about Boston? The Red Sox losing Jason Varitek for 2 to 3 months. That's going to hurt their competition with the New York Yankees.
It hurts the Red Sox big time, and Varitek personally having one of the best seasons of his career. Crespo, though, trying to reach base here.
Taps it off of his foot, and the count will go full 3-2.
Any way you can, you get on. Now 3-2 count. Crespo's looking for that Isringhausen fastball. As a hitter, you have to look fastball and adjust to anything else with 3-2.
On deck, Armando Rios. Look at the kids in the background.
They don't care it's a tie game and they're extra innings here. They're just having fun.
Chopped up the middle, and that's a base hit. So Felipe gets San Francisco started in the top of the 10th inning.
So there was a short swing by Crespo. Nice job of just getting on base. Sometimes 3-2, it's a power swinger's swing. You want to take a rip, but he just was real short with that. Look at Robbie Thompson over there studying the signs. There it is, outside pitch. He just stayed right on it and put it up in the big hole there, right up the middle. Armando Rios now will step in and likely try to sacrifice bunt Crespo to third. Crespo. You see the third baseman in here for anything right there, but what he'd like to do here is just drop a little bunt, make the first baseman come field it. And it doesn't have as easy a throw to second base. Chavez is in at third. Giambi has a longer run, and he has to hold the runner.
Rios shows bunt, pulls it back, and it is outside for a ball. And again, Oakland does not have their complete bullpen. Outstanding right-handed Jim Messier had an MRI today on his right calf. It proved negative, but he'll be out a while. Sonny Jackson giving those signs to Rios again. With less than 2 strikes, sacrifice.
He's flashing those signs. The manager doesn't care where Rios bunts it, really, as long as he just gets the job done, move the runner over at second. The best place to bunt it is to the right side here with the runner on first. You can see all this open area. It's wide open here for a nice, easy bunt. Sometimes it's easier to bunt it to the third baseman, depending on what the pitcher's giving you. Bart Howe, Dusty Bakers, they're all trying to give the right side.
Rios again gets the bunt down first base side. It's a nice one. It will get Crespo into scoring possession at second base, exactly where you said he should lay it down.
Well, it's a nice job by Armando Rios. Check it out now. You'll see this shift. Here it is. It's right here. Now he just wants to lay a nice bunt. Giambi's going to come and get the runner to second base. And there it is. Look at the second baseman covers. That opens up the base there. I mean, opens up and gets the job done. Sacrifice bunt. Sometimes that is a big, big play as Rios comes back to the dugout. Lots of love from his manager. Good job. Had to have that down. Sacrifice doesn't count as an at-bat. It sure does count on the win-loss column if it's done properly.
No question.
Win call.
Now Russ Davis. He needs to make contact. He got one right down Broadway at 91 miles an hour. You have a strikeout pitcher like Isringhausen, and you have a guy who strikes out a lot, Russ Davis. 46 Ks this year in just 156 innings or at-bats.
Strikeouts. We'll check it out where they're playing. You see him.
Strike two.
Easy with the big curve. Got the fastball in. Davis checked his swing. Strike one. Big curve. Strike two. Now it's 0-2 on Davis. And Davis is like, wow, I don't know what he's throwing. I better look for his fastball. That's his best pitch. Some will say the curveball is, but the fastball at 95 is tough to hit.
And he has struggled with runners in scoring position. Just 3 for 39, and that is why San Francisco has left the most men on base this year than any other National League team. Big runner at second base in Felipe Crespo.
Davis just really needs to shorten his swing right now and try to put the ball in play.
Fouls it back.
He shortened it up a little bit. Didn't have that long cut. That's what you want to do.
Well, Jason brought the fastball at 95. And because Davis looked like he was on top of it, you think he's going to go back with the breaker?
Sometimes they try to set you up with a fastball to work you away with an off-speed pitch.
Crespo led the inning off with a single. Rios sacrificed him to second. Now the 0-2 pitch, and there's the breaking ball that misses outside. 1-2.
Felipe Crespo at second base is trying to get a big lead, but Frank Menechino, the A's second baseman, is holding him close. He's holding him tight. He doesn't want to give him any extra space there so he can get into third. Want to try to cut his lead down in case Davis gets a base hit. It's a game of inches. Bang, bang play.
Davis swings and pops it towards right field. On comes Eric Burns charging. It will drop. To third, Crespo. He had to hold in between the bases to make sure Burns had no chance to catch that baseball.
Davis did what he wanted, but he wanted to knock that run in, but still the Giants are in a good opportunity to go ahead here with just one out. Runners at first and third. Estes used the fastball to set up this curve, but watch Davis wait on it. He waits. Now he's off balance, but he just uses his hands. Nice piece of hitting with 2 strikes, but the curveball wasn't located properly. It was up. He's able to do that, and he just drops it in between Menechino and Burns out there and right.
Art Howe will come out. You see where it drops in between no man's land between Menechino and Burns, and Eric will run the ball in. Art Howe will come out just for a visit to talk with Isringhausen as Marvin Bernard would dig in. There's absolutely no one up in the Oakland bullpen.
Having a little powwow here, and they're talking about getting a double play. Just one out. They want a ground ball here, but they don't want that go-ahead run to come on there. Also, there could be a possibility that Dusty could pull a double steal.
Crespo at third base. First base, Russ Davis. And Dusty Baker has Marvin Bernard, who had a terrific year for him 1 season ago, but really has struggled this year. Bernard last year hit .263 and knocked in 55 runs. Important runs as the Giants won the West, but this year only hitting .198 with 18 home runs. Look at the way they're defending as they bring everyone in tight, Rex, except the short stop Tejada, who's about halfway.
Well, they're going to read it. They want to get that run at home, but if there's a ball that's close to second that Tejada can take, they'll try to get two and get out of it. But they want to get that leading runner, Crespo.
Ball one.
Bernard's talking to himself, and he's not easy to double up. He runs well. He's only hit into a double play 1 time this year. So really what Bernard wants to do is try to get the back underside of that ball and get a little lift so he can sacrifice Crespo home.
Bernard takes upstairs. 2 balls and no strikes. Now they do have Calvin Murray next. But after that, Rich Aurelio. Rick Peterson will go to the bullpen phone. Isringhausen usually is a 1-inning guy. Rick's waiting for the sign from Art Howe to say, pick up the phone, get someone ready.
They're waiting on this pitch. Bernard's got a 2-0 good hitting count.
And he fouls it back.
He missed it. That sometimes is the best pitch you'll see, that 2-0 pitch. Marvin did a good job of buying that 2-0 pitch, but he just missed it. Fouled off. Now Izzy is up there rubbing that ball up, trying to make sure he throws the dark one here. We're going to get some action up with
T.J. Matthews.
There's the old first and third move, trying to get an easy out there. Some of the Giants fans calling for a balk here, but the pitcher, he's allowed to try that fake move to third and then step off and go to first. Sometimes that runner at first, Davis, will take off because he thinks it's the first moving home.
And it gets away, but Davis won't go. They had Crespo at third base. The ball didn't roll away far enough, as Russ had a very modest lead at first base and just stayed put. With a chance to get out of that double play right now.
He sure did. That would have been a good chance to be on your toes and advance a base, as Hernandez wouldn't have thrown the ball because he's worried about Crespo at third. It's hard to teach base running. It's part of the instincts that you need to have to be a great base runner. Help your team in a lot of ways.
The 3-1. Bernard swings and pops it up. Foul territory, out of play. 3 balls, 2 strikes. 3-3 game. Oakland took a 3-0 lead early. Held it until the 7th inning. Jeff Kent hit a 2-run home run for Dusty Baker, and then a run would later score in the top of the 9th inning. That has sent us to extra innings, where we're in the 10th. 3-3. San Francisco and Oakland. Marvin Bernard with runners at the corners, and the count 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Marvin, with no hits in the game, could be a hero for Dusty Baker in this at bat right here.
Bernard swings and misses, striking out.
This pitch is way out of the strike zone as Isringhausen works that fastball up and away. We'll see it again here as Bernard knew it was coming, but it was just unhittable. You can't touch that pitch. That ball was in his glove, as that's a Linda Ronstadt pitch, I call it. Blew by you. Dusty Baker wasn't real happy to see that. So now looks like Dusty's going to go with a pinch hitter. Mr. Murray will step aside for Sean Dunston.
Sean Dunston. A longtime veteran, Sean Dunston, now 38 years old, out of New York City. At one time a first-round pick of the Chicago Cubs, now in his 16th big league season.
A lot of ink on that bored Kenny Maka's throwing out there on that lineup card. Extra inning games, your extra players become valuable. Look at it. All these little spots right here are keeping track of who made the last outs. Sometimes every bench coach has a different way of doing things, and Kenny Maka's got it all spread out. Dunston sitting in right there. He got him scratched out.
This is Sean's third time with the Giants. As I said, he came up with the Cubs organization after being drafted out of Thomas Jefferson High School in New York City, where he was one of the best high school players ever. How good was he, Rex? He hit .790 his senior year in high school.
Well, he's been doing it off the bench. Look what he is, 1 for 6 off Isringhausen. But off the bench this year, he's had 15 at-bats, 4 of them for hits. Knocked in 2 runs. So Dunston's going to be up there swinging.
Curveball and a beauty at 77 miles an hour, strike 1. Dunston walked away almost with a look on his face like, I got to try and hit that.
That's a tough pitch for a pinch hitter to see for a strike. Because the first strike, curveball. Now he's in the hole and he's thinking, is he going to throw that again for a strike? Or is he going to come with a fastball? He's got to be locked and loaded on a fastball, though, Dunston, for any chance. And then he can react to the big curve.
Another beauty, this time on the inside corner.
You can almost see it coming. Strike 1 curve. He's going to go with it again. And this is exactly what happens. Big curve again. Dunston has no chance, really. And now it's 0-2. And his reaction is, wow. He did it again. Now Dunston has to go up there very defensive and just try to put the ball in play. He knows it's going to be tough.
Goes after him at 97. That's not fair. Curveball, 97 high heat. Dunston gone. So are the Giants. A's still with life. A 3-3 ball game as we head to the bottom of the 10th inning in Oakland, California. Jason Isringhausen couldn't have picked a better time to throw his 3 best pitches of the night, Rex.
Well, he rose to the occasion off Dunston. Here's the first curveball. Dunston saying that's no fair. Well, that's really no fair. Now what do you have for me? 97 gas right there, as that's a Linda Ronstadt pitch. I say blew by you, as that ball had some giddy up on it. And Isringhausen liked it, but so did Art Howell, as they'll show Art saying, yes! That strong arm is what he showed him.
Well, San Francisco sent Felix Rodriguez out there for Sean Estes. Estes pitching a terrific game, going 9 innings, allowing 3 runs. But he will leave with a no decision, and Felix Rodriguez has been just as masterful. He has not allowed a run since May 7th against Montreal, a span of 12 straight scoreless outings and 14 consecutive shutout innings.
Well, this kid can bring that ball from 95 to 98 miles an hour, that fastball. He has a nice slider that complements it. He comes right after the hitters, and he's not afraid. On base average of 173. They're not getting on base. He can strike them out with 37, though, that's for sure. In 28 innings, he's got the hard fastball that his manager Dusty loves.
Second in the National League and 6th among all major league relievers with a 1.61 ERA. What does he throw, Rex?
He's a fastball slider. All he needs is 2 pitches. Set up man for the great Rob Nen. This kid could close if he had to.
There is that fastball at 96 miles an hour. Sean Dunston stays in the game and plays center field for Calvin Murray, who he pinch hit for.
Dunston playing mostly outfield here with the Giants, as Rich really has done such a great job at short. But Dunston can fill in anywhere.
And you wonder when you watch Felix Rodriguez and his stuff, 95, 96, 97 miles an hour with the fastball, and like you said, an outstanding slider. He started with the Dodgers organization, then with the Reds, then to Arizona, and struggled with all three, and somehow he found success with Dusty Baker. First walk of the game by San Francisco pitching, so out comes second baseman Jeff Kent to settle down Felix Rodriguez, as Eric Chavez might be in a sacrifice situation. They will send a pinch runner out, though, for Ramon Hernandez. Mark Bellhorn.
Mark's going to try to bring that winning run home from first, but likely Art Howell will be asking Chavez to sacrifice bunt here, as he has one time already this year. Since Rodriguez throws everything hard, it's much easier to bunt something that you know is coming hard all the time. Now, it's that soft, slow curve is the easiest pitch to bunt, but if you can't get that one, you'll take him hard. He's not bunting.
He is swinging away, and at 92 miles an hour, he whiffs. Balls, one strike. Chavez has struck out, grounded out twice. 0 for 3. He is now 3 for 17 since coming off the not really the disabled list. They sat him down with a left heel injury. They just wanted to make sure it was okay. Now he shows bunt and pops it up, and Rodriguez drops it. He'll go to second base, and they will get Mark Bellhorn at second.
Well, I was wondering why Art Howell wasn't butting Chavez there with the game on the line here in extra innings. But he did. He gave him one pitch to swing away on, and the second pitch he popped it up. Here it is again. Pops it up. Felix backs off. Thinks he can make the catch. Tries for it. It hits off. Now the first. Now Bellhorn, he does the right thing. You have to freeze as a runner. You don't want to get doubled up there, and he ends up being easy out at second. He had to stop because he thought Rodriguez was going to catch it on the fly. And look at Rodriguez, did a nice job of recovering on that to get the force runner.
Now Jeremy Giambi. Strike on the inside corner, 94 miles an hour. Jeremy again just taken off the disabled list today. He had a left hamstring problem. Hit .333 on rehab, and right prior to becoming injured was really hot, hitting .419 in a stretch before the left hamstring injury. Winning run at first base.
Well, I noticed Eric Chavez, the third baseman, limping after a foul ball last inning. So this cool weather here might have his leg muscles pretty tight, and I don't know if has one of them hurt.
He had the left heel problem, sat him down for 4 games.
Might still be bothering him because that could definitely affect his ability to score on a gapper here if Jeremy Giambi can place it out there. Crespo hanging close there. Wants to make sure Chavez does not go anywhere.
Giambi fouls it out of play. Now he's behind the count, 1-2. Rodriguez again replaced Sean Estes. We really had marvelous starts by both team starting pitchers. Art House, Corey Lytle, as he had a no-hitter until the 5th inning. Sean Estes went 9 innings and gave up 3 runs as he continues his success since late April. Giambi takes it outside. That will even the count at 2-2.
Felix Rodriguez working the corners. He knows that Giambi can hurt him. He hasn't had a base hit all night, so sometimes the players do. Rodriguez showing him a little respect, keeping the ball away here. 2-2 count. Dusty Baker's hoping his team can get on in that win column here after Oakland took last night's game.
Giambi fouls it back.
95 miles an hour. All the hitter really has to do is just put a nice easy swing on a pitch at 95. Let the pitcher supply the power. That could get the ball to the gap.
You make it sound so simple, and yet it is so incredibly difficult.
You just put an easy pass on the ball, loosen up your grip a little bit, relax, and that'll help you swing fluid.
Did you ever swing easy?
You had to bring me into it, didn't you? Let's not bring the telecast down.
All right, it's a 3-2 count as Rodriguez misses high and away.
I appreciate you trying to talk about me, Fizz, but let's not go there. Dusty Baker hoping that they can somehow retire these guys here. The Oakland A's fans, they're fired up. Kind of reminds me of Japan. They have the band in the outfield. They're playing, the drums beating. A lot of that goes on in Japan.
Jeremy Giambi skies it in the air, left field. Racing over near the foul line to make the catch, Armando Rios, and back to first base, Eric Chavez. Well, it's been the kids' night as far as memories, and the young man who will step to the plate, Eric Burns, hit his first big league home run back in inning number 6, and that completed Oakland's scoring at the time, giving Oakland a 3-0 lead. The Giants would come back to tie it up and send it to extra innings. So here is Eric Burns with the winning run at first base. Burns, like the Wonder Dog, my partner Rex Hudler, a very aggressive hitter. He has not yet learned the art of placing the bat on the ball. Everything aggressive swing. Strike one.
He's an aggressive player. Hustles all the time, but he's got that first home run in the book. Now he'd really like to be the hero here for Oakland.
He has your kind of energy as well.
It's okay if it's channeled properly. Between the lines, attack style of baseball, and that's the way he plays. Plays for keeps. It's good to see a young player coming to the big leagues that knows how to hustle.
Burns knocks it to the third baseman, Russ Davis. They get the force at second base, and the inning is over. We head to the 11th here in Oakland, California, all locked up at 3, Giants and A's. Top of the 11th inning we go. The San Francisco Giants and Oakland Athletics all locked up at 3 at Network Associates Coliseum. This week on FX, it's a special Friday night baseball featuring a rematch of last year's Subway Series as Derek Jeter takes on Mike Piazza and the New York Mets. Coverage begins this Friday night at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on FX. Check local listings for the start times in your area. And Big Fox has the same game on Saturday. Check your local listings for the game in your area. American League East right now has the Red Sox with the lead by 1 game over the New York Yankees. Blue Jays 6.5 off the pace. Red Sox lost today, but so did New York. And a new pitcher, new battery, as T.J. Matthews will now throw to Tom Wilson.
TJ got a fastball, slider, and a changeup. He'll try to trick those Giant hitters.
10 walks, 18 strikeouts this year. He just tossed a season-high 3 scoreless innings on Tuesday in Anaheim in a loss as the Angels would take 2 of 3 from the A's. A's came in hot. They had won 18-9, gone 18-9 in May, 3-4 in June, after losing 2 of 3 to the Anaheim Angels.
Top of the 11th, and Rich Aurelia, leadoff batter, faked a bunt. Not a bad idea.
He takes a strike in the outside corner at 82, and he is in the hole, 0-2.
T.J. Matthews picked a nice located slider to throw there. .363, sitting atop of the National League batting league. Rich is getting it done offensively.
And he tries to gap this one, racing over, and it is past Terrence Long, and there goes Aurelia into second base. It will be a double for San Francisco. Long overran the ball, Rex.
Looks like he got there. He should have gloved it. There's no excuse for that one.
They rule it a double all the way.
Aurelia hit it, but it laid up there. Look at Long. Now Long's got nice long strides, but hey, he needed a longer glove as it just hit off the top of it. Look at it. He's there plenty of time. He overran it. Now they're going to put Bonds on intentionally. That'll be his 12th intentional walk this year.
The fans were hoping to see him perhaps bomb number 527. It's a split crowd, 80-20, not 50-50. 80% it seems like are for the Oakland Athletics and about 20% for the San Francisco Giants. Both of these teams made the playoffs last year. How about that? All-time record.
He's setting them every day in different categories.
Well, as my old friend Sparky Anderson used to say, don't let Superman beat you. And he always figured guys like Jack Clark or Willie McCovey or Barry Bonds are the guys who are the Supermen. Past them. He reminded me of a game where Willie Mays hit a double, and actually when the ball was in the gap, Willie remembered what Sparky would do, so he retraced his steps, went back to first base for a single, and Sparky said, no, 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 we're intentionally walking McCovey, and they put him on. Some guys demand that kind of respect.
Wow.
The McCoveys and the Bonds of the world do.
Rich is going to take a seat now, and he's going to hand the baton over to Ramon Martinez, who's coming in to pinch run off the bench. Cold, but really he's not cold, and he shouldn't be cold. If he's a bench player and he's in this game, he should already be loose. That's what you want to be if you're coming into pinch run. Look at him check the outfield.
Will Jeff Kent then bunt?
Well, I would be shocked to see the MVP bunt here, but he could do it. Dusty Baker is scrappy. Here they're playing infield. Corners are in. Corners in there. He's right in here. They're playing deep and a little bit to pull in the outfield.
Matthews brings it, and Kent almost got hit in the shoulder.
Kent hit a bomb early in the game to straightaway center field. I'm sure Dusty Baker's counting on him to hit another long one.
Baker trying to get back to 500. The same situation Oakland finds themselves in. Giants 30-31, A's 29-30. Kent swings and misses. It's 1 ball and 1 strike.
Kent is very good at keeping his hands inside the ball, using the whole field. Bottom hand leads. That knob goes to the ball, and the top hand follows. His eyes tell him whether to hook it or stay inside it and go the opposite field.
Inside. 2 balls and 1 strike. And Matthews, when you look back at his career, part of it with the St. Louis Cardinals and then with the Oakland Athletics, he had some of his greatest success in his career with St. Louis against the Giants. In his career, an 0.48 ERA against San Francisco. 2 on, nobody out. Kent swings and slaps it back up the middle. That's a base hit. Here comes Ramon Martinez. The throw is to the plate, cut off, and the Giants take the lead.
Yeah, Kent stayed inside of the ball like I was talking about. He used the big part of the field there. All he needed was a lousy single, and he got it. P.J. Matthews tried to trick him. Little slide piece, but Kent actually stayed out over the zone. Looked like it backed up. Could have been a backup slider. And sometimes that'll do it. Frankie Minichino, if he was a few inches taller, he could have had it, but hang with him. And Dusty Baker says, yes, that will work. There's still nobody out. Runners at first and second. Kent and Bonds on the sack, looking for Benito to give him a little insurance here.
Santiago takes strike 1. You still would swing away.
They're hacking. Benito, Dusty Baker's going with him. Coming into the game 317. Now he's hitting 315. He feels good. I would personally probably sacrifice bunt here and see if I can get some more runs going.
Chavez not taking the bait. He is looking for the bunt. About 3 feet in. And now creeping further, and Santiago swings away again. Now he's behind the count, and Chavez can back up at third base with the count 0-2 to Benito Santiago.
So now they want Santiago just to shorten up his swing and go up to center field. They're showing Dusty and Sonny Jackson, the third base coach, they're saying just shorten up your swing and just get a base hit. That's all they're telling him.
Bonds and Kent on second and first. Santiago just barely grabs a piece of that baseball to stay alive.
He got a piece of it, and you could see him breathing. Breathing is so important in the game of baseball. It's a concentration game. You have to inhale, exhale, just to clear the cobwebs, help your focus. And there's Rob Nin, a devastating closer in the bullpen for the Giants, getting ready to come in.
Breathing is also an important part in the game of life.
Yeah, it is, but Biz, you stand up there and try to hit that ball coming in there. It ain't easy.
Ooh, he tried to knife that slide on the outside corner. Santiago just did pull the bat back in time.
And it's amazing how in golf they have to have total silence for a ball sitting on a tee to hit it. And in baseball, it's moving at 90 in all kinds of directions. And the fans yelling, "You're a bum!" How do you think Tiger would handle a fan yelling at him in his backswing?
They'd probably only win by 3 shots instead of 4.
So Benito here is battling T.J. Matthews. Now he's worked the count to 2-2. He's still looking for anything he can get his bat on. T.J. would like for him to hit a ground ball and turn it into a pitcher's best friend, that double play. 1 pitch, 2 outs.
Crespo on deck.
That's what he's looking for.
And Santiago swings and misses, striking out. Just as Matthews looked back at second base in his delivery, Bonds gave a juke towards you like he was going to go steal third base.
Here it is, a slider right down and low. Got Benito waving.
Millard Howe will make a pitching change here with Felipe Crespo coming to the plate. A base hit by Jeff Kent has broken the 3-3 tie, though. Coming home to score, Ramon Martinez, and it's the Giants now in front. San Francisco with a 4-3 lead over the Oakland Athletics, and Jeff Kent already with a big night. The National League MVP hit a 2-run home run back in the 7th inning to put San Francisco on the board when they were down 3-0. And there it is, a bomb to straightaway center field, better than 430 feet. Look at this, how far it goes. And then here, a single up the middle to break the 3-3 tie, and the Giants have the very first lead in the series.
That second hit was the big hit, broke his bat.
So now Mike Magnante will come out of the bullpen for Oakland. The left-hander will face Felipe Crespo, who will turn around and bat from the right side.
Fastball, slider, curve, and a screwball from Mike Magnante. And he'll use that screwball effectively against right-handed batters.
Strong year for Mike, a 3.26 earned run average, but what is even more impressive is a stat I'll read to you next. Ball shot foul. He has allowed just 1 of his 18 inherited runners to score over the first 22 games for inheriting a bases loaded situation Thursday night in Anaheim and allowing 2 to score. But that is great efficiency by this veteran left-hander. 35 years old, from Burbank, California, went to UCLA, and now it is Magnante facing Crespo. Strike two.
Magnante hides the ball well. He's got a very nice screwball, like I said before, and he'll throw it, especially when he's ahead in the count like this, 0-2. What he would really like to do is just get Crespo to hit the top half of the ball and hit into that double play. Rob Nin sitting in the bullpen waiting.
Swung on and missed. And Crespo is gone on the strikeout by Magnante.
Looks like Magnante went with a little slider. It was properly located down and out of the hitting zone. Looks good for the hitter because it stays on that hitting plane, the good knee-high pitch, and then it goes down at the last minute.
Now the left-handed hitting Armando Rios with 2 on base. You see Barry Bonds at second, Jeff Kent at first base. Rios in this ball game is 0 for 3. Struck out, grounded out twice, and a sacrifice back in the 10th inning.
Magnante really sweeps that ball away from left-handed batters. He'll start it, and that hitter sees him way behind his back, and it's really tough to hit when it's moving that far away from him.
This will keep you well behind Seattle. 11 one-run losses this year. Both teams in the same division, Texas and Oakland, have suffered the same fate.
San Diego in the 7th has went ahead of Seattle 4-3.
Two and 0. You know, I asked Magnante before the ball game, will you only throw the screwball to right-handers to get it fade? He said, no, it's my best pitch, so I'll throw it to everybody.
That's a pitch that would move into the left-handed batter, so you have to be careful where it's located. Sometimes it hangs out there to be hit.
Top foul. 2 and 1.
But he doesn't need it against left-handers. That's his out pitch against right-handers. He already has a nice sweeping curve and a slider that he throws against the left-handed batters that goes away from him.
2 on, 2 out. Giants have just taken the 4-3 lead.
A little inside move there, thinking that Mr. Bonds might try to steal a base.
Oh, great pitch by Magnante. Just on the inside corner. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
It's a sweeping curve. Why mess around with a screwball when you got a pitch like that? And he hasn't so far. I haven't seen him throw the screwball.
And there are times where he'll drop down 2 left-handers to give the illusion that he's coming inside. They'll jump out of the way, and then he'll sneak it on that inside corner. Sometimes he'll come sidearm so much it looks like it's going to hit you, and he'll catch the outside corner. Well, that one completely gets away from Hernandez, and there go the runners. Bonds to third, Kent to second. Now a base hit could make it a 6-3 ball game. So Magnante runs the count full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Armando Rios.
Tom Wilson now. Let's check him out. Let's see. He's getting tested here. Up. He needs to get his body in front of that ball. Shuffle your feet. Become the backstop and don't let the ball go to the backstop. He's getting called in for some late action here in this ball game. Magnante likes to sweep the curve balls, throw balls in the dirt. Wilson's going to have to bear down now with Bonds, an extra insurance run at third.
Magnante brings it, and it is chopped foul by Rios again. So they'll try it again. 3 balls, 2 strikes. 11th inning. Giants by 1 run. Last night Oakland won it 4-2. This is the 22nd meeting between these interleague foes. If the Giants win, they'll each have 11 victories. And And again, it gets away from Wilson, but he picks it up and throws out Rios at first base. It's a 4-3 San Francisco lead. That means Rob Nunn against the best Oakland will show. Johnny Damon, Frank Menachino, Jason Giambi. The Budweiser.com airship and its Eye in the Sky camera are proud to provide you with these live shots 1,000 feet above us. And tonight's game, to all baseball fans, this Bud's for you. San Francisco with a 4-3 lead. They go to their closer, and that means here at Network Associates Coliseum, it is Rob Nen with a 2-2 record, a 3.71 earned run average. But look what opponents have hit him. Only 192, Hud.
Yep, he's getting the job done, and what he's doing is using that nice 98-mile-an-hour fastball, late breaking slider, and of course the split finger that really is devastating whenever he's ahead of the batter. It's devastating anytime. Rob Nen's one of the premier closers in the game.
Again, it will be hitters 1, 2, and 3, so the right part of the lineup is up for Oakland. Johnny Damon will lead things off, and Damon has been on twice in this game with a base hit and an error. Ramon Martinez stays in the game to play shortstop after pinch running for Rich Aurelia and scoring the go-ahead run. 1 ball, 1 strike. Nen saved San Francisco victories in each of the first 3 games of a just completed series against San Diego. Damon having the rough year and fouling it back and out of play. 1-2.
Well, Art Howe has the man he wants up there, the catalyst type guy. Johnny Damon, just go ahead and get things started, but he's in the hole with 2 strikes. Rob Nen hasn't shown him that split finger yet.
Well, he busted by there at 91 miles an hour. 91-mile-an-hour split.
It had something else besides his normal fastball spin, as it had a little bit of a hump, and it looked like it could have been a split. Anyway, it got the job done. Yeah.
Well, look at the most saves since 1998. Trevor Hoffman, Mariano Rivera, and Rob Nen. As a matter of fact, Nen is second all-time on the Giant save list with 128. And there is the heavy heater at 96 miles an hour that busts away Frank Menachino. Menachino has doubled twice in this game. He's doubled in the first inning, gave Oakland their first lead. He doubled in the 6th, but was left stranded when, with 1 out, Giambi singled to send him to third. They held Menachino in that 6th inning, but then Miguel Tejada bounced into a 1-6-3 double play rally over. Menachino, very good power, 8 home runs this year, second most among all American League second basemen. The leader, Brett Boone of Seattle. Fastball stays high. And how about Nen's delivery? He will tap the dirt with his left foot before he plants it.
Throws a little
delivery.
That throws a pause in his delivery, and it can throw the hitter off, because the hitter is all about trying to find some kind of rhythm in the pitcher's delivery.
He stays upstairs and walks Menachino. The last thing he wanted to do with Jason Giambi coming up.
And then he missed high all the way on Menachino.
First baseman, Jason Giambi.
Now we'll see if Art Howe can go into his stolen base well. He's going to try to get Menachino there, but you know, with 1 out and a big power hitter up, sometimes you'll want to hold the runner at first and just leave him there. But Frankie Menachino, he's able to steal a base. He just has 1 base stolen this year, but he has capability.
I would let Giambi swing.
Yeah, he probably will here, and Menachino's been caught once, so it's not like he has blazing speed, so you let your MVP slugger go ahead and take his risks.
And Tejada, for as strong as he has been in the past, has been in a bit of a slump in June, hitting 170. Giambi swings and fouls it back out of play. 0-2.
Because Giambi could score Menechino from first base with a well-placed ball off the wall or in the gap.
He has awesome power. You know about his 16 home runs, hit his 16th last night in the 4-2 win. He also has 20 doubles, and that ranks among the top 5 in the American League. Menechino walked with 1 out. Outfield very deep for Giambi. Runner goes. Ball gets away. Menechino might go to third, and he will stay put at second base.
Well, I think that's a good move by Art Howe. Sending the runner, get him in scoring position now, because the Giants are winning 1-0 in their own backyard. They want to at least get the tie and run into scoring position. Big jump by Frankie. Heck, he knows he's got it stolen all the way. He also saw it go back to the screen, and Benito Santiago did a nice job of retrieving that pass ball. Or Frankie just might. Is that a wild pitch or a pass ball, Fizz?
That's got to be a wild pitch because it touched dirt before.
Benito could have shuffled his feet and did what he could to block that one, though. But that ball's coming in there at 96. Doesn't give you a whole lot of room for error.
Giambi swings and fouls it back.
That was a split finger there from Nin, and Giambi himself might even have to shorten up his swing a little bit to put the ball in play. But Giambi, though, with the power he's got, could easily,
how about this,
win the game for him.
Impressive. 444 with men in scoring position. Half the time he comes through. Tying run. Menechino at second base. The pitch to Giambi, swings and sends it foul.
And I think Giambi doesn't even know how to shorten the swing up there. He just takes, he's an all or nothing ripper. And
you know, he takes a hard rip, but that was a short swing.
Well, he has an idea how to hit, or else he wouldn't be hitting what he is. He hits in the high 300s, mid 300s pretty consistently. So he's getting his walks, and he's also taking his singles. It's Thad Bosley, hitting coach there for the Oakland A's, doing a fine job with his hitters. Nin's grip looks like he's going heater. Two-seam fastball.
Checks his swing in time. Shulock said he does not go around. So that will even the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Let's see if he checks his swing. That bat head cannot go past home plate, and he did a nice job of holding it back. But Rob Nin doesn't really care about base runners. They've been successful off him in the past. He doesn't have a good move, and he has a high leg kick. So basically, Menechino walked into second, and I kind of had the idea he would. Art Howe was going to send him. Now, he's not going to go anywhere else. He's right where he wants to be.
Outside and high, 3 balls and 2 strikes. With first base open, he can throw any of the pitches he wants to.
And that's what he'll do. He knows Giambi's hitterish, and he wants to knock in a tie and run, so he might try to tease him with a ball out of the strike zone.
And then with the 3-2, it is high ball 4. Giambi walks. So back-to-back walks by Rob Nin to Menechino and Jason Giambi, and that will bring up Miguel Tejada.
Here's the pitch by pitch from Nin. High one. Looked like he caught the top part of the zone. Fouls it away. 1-1. As a stolen base by Menechino. Look at it. Nin coming in there high. He's trying to throw him up in the zone. Down. He's moving him up and down. There's a high one away. This one here will be ball 4. Nin a little bit off with his command here with 2 walks.
I remember Rob Nin last year in early June when San Francisco was kind of scuffling. Giants came down to Edison International Field and lost down there, and Rob Nin blew 2 saves in that game, and the Angels would win. But after that, San Francisco got hot, won 18 of 26 before the All-Star break, cut Arizona's lead to 3.5, and then they would win another 18 of 27 before August 10th, and they would take over first place. Remember Rob Nen throwing the ball down right field. Anaheim winning. Now it is Miguel Tejada with one out. Giants by one. High in the air right field. Marvin Bernard for the second out. So it will be up to Terrence Long.
Just never know in the game of baseball. That's why it's so early. It's like a marathon. Heck, you just try to position yourself as a team somewhere where you can strike the lead late in the season. And that's what the Giants are doing. The A's are all trying to do. But the A's are waiting for Seattle to fall. And tonight, hey, they might just do that as San Diego's up 6-3 in the 8th.
Well, Long can really help himself out. Remember, it was his misplay defensively of the drive off the bat of Rich Aurelia that allowed San Francisco to take the 4-3 lead. Instead of an out, Aurelia got to second base. A pinch runner, Ramon Martinez, would score on a base hit by Jeff Kent. That broke the 3-3 tie. Long swings and misses.
91-mile-an-hour split finger. Back. That's a tough one to hit. It's thrown for a strike, but it looks so good to the hitter. It looks like it's got fastball spin on it, and in the last minute, its bottom falls out.
Two on. One ball, one strike.
So he throws him another one.
And why not? Because every single pitcher goes over the hitter. What they've done recently. Dusty Baker knows that Terrence Long is a free swinger. Even though he was a leadoff hitter last year, he has not walked in the last 19 games.
Dusty Baker's trying to sneak a look around the corner and see if Art Howe's going to pull up a pinch hitter for Tom Wilson, the catcher, who's on deck.
Came fastball, hit well to left field. At the warning track, Rios makes the catch, and San Francisco has the win in Game 2 of this Bay Area rivalry. Oakland won last night 4-2. San Francisco won tonight 4-3 in 11 innings. Our Charbroil player of the game, it has to be Jeff Kent. His home run got them started, and a game-winning single in the 11th inning as the Giants are back to 500 with a record of 31-31. And our Lotriman, great beat of the game. Rex, it has to be Jeff Kent's base hit in the 11th.
Without a doubt, he dropped it right out there when the game was on the line, and they needed a big hit. P.J. Matthews tried to come in. It looks like it was not a backup slider. It looks like just a mistake on his fastball. And Kent drops it in as Dusty Baker applauds the great feat of the game.
So Nen gets the save, and for Rob Nen this year, that is save number 15. 4-3 Giants over the Oakland Athletics. This series is even. They'll complete the Bay Area rivalry tomorrow afternoon. So that's it from Oakland, California. Tune into Fox Family's Thursday Night Baseball as Chicago takes on the Cincinnati Reds starting at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. FX Baseball continues next week as the New York Yankees and New York Mets battle it out at Shea Stadium starting at 7 Eastern. It's a special edition of Friday Night Baseball. Coming up next, Beyond Desire, East Coast. On the West Coast, When Animals Attack. For my partner, Rex Hudler, I'm Steve Physioc saying good night, everyone.